If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, or cutaway coat, perfect fits. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying mighty hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst.
Prospective medical lecturer Dr. Frederick Frankenstein learns that he has inherited his infamous grandfather's estate in Transylvania. After arriving at the castle, Dr. Frankenstein soon begins to recreate his grandfather's experiments with the help of servants Igor and Inga and the fearsome Frau Blucher. After he creates his own monster, new complications ensue with the arrival of the doctor's fiancée, Elizabeth. Welcome to another feature presentation, Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we'll be covering 1974's Young Frankenstein, directed by Mel Brooks. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another feature presentation. Tonight, we're doing motherfucking Young Frankenstein. Zoheb, how are you?
I'm good, dude. I believe it's Frankenstein.
It's pronounced, you're putting me on. So this was my pick. I'm super excited to cover this movie. Like we said in the beginning, you guys are listening to a feature presentation episode. These are going to be our longer episodes. We're going to spoil this movie. This is rated for explicit for a reason. You know, like Cap says, if anybody wants to get out now, now's the time. So if you haven't seen this movie, this 40-year-old movie, now's the time to get the fuck out of here. But this is one of our feature presentation episodes. We have a variety of episodes. We have our upcoming attractions episodes. We have our special features episodes, and this is just going to be longer in length. If this is your first time listening to us, this is our, I guess, what would you say, our flagship, our main, what we started doing. But now we've got upcoming attractions hosted by Matt Vella, our other host. So yeah, if you guys are ever interested in upcoming news, anything like that, make sure you check out our other episodes, upcoming attractions as well. But getting back to this, this was my pick. But I want to hear first.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
It's black and white. It's an old as fuck movie. So surprise, surprise, it's Colin's pick.
Yeah, God, how old were your parents when this came out? Like 6?
Dude, I'm looking at the, like you said just then that this movie is 40 years old. It's 45 years old.
45 years old. Like, god damn, dude. And it's, my parents, this is 74, so my parents were like a little younger than me when this movie came out. I'm like, holy shit. When I think about that, I'm like, God, my parents are older.
My dad was 10. he literally was 10. He was born in 64, so yeah, he's 10.
God, my parents were like out of college. But
dude, like, that's fantastic.
I tell you what, before I jump into this, because I'm going to have to unhinge my jaw and bust out my knee pads for the suck fest that's about to happen with this movie. But why don't you start us off? Tell me what you think of Young Frankenstein. How familiar are you with Mel Brooks or Gene Wilder or any of these type of comedies? You know, like anything like this. I consider this like Airplane, Scary Movie. Like a lot of these kind of fall into the same kind of like trope. You know what I mean?
I am so glad you brought up Airplane and Scary Movie.
Oh, dude, it's like synonymous. Yeah. You have to.
I know. I was about to get into that. So, Before we start, because like we're already here, like we're already talking about Airplane and Scary Movie. Dude, those movies are made by the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams.
Mm-hmm.
The comedy in those movies, like Airplane, Naked Gun, Scary Movie 3 and 4, because you have to remember that Scary Movie 1 and 2 were done by the Wayans, so that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But while we're here, the third one is my favorite. I fucking love that Scary Movie.
It's fucking good, dude. It's the only one I ever actually saw in theaters. I didn't watch 2 until I was much older, and I'm just like, man, I think I like 2 more, but 3 is like, they're like neck and neck. They're fucking great. I don't really love the first one, though.
No, neither do I. But the third one is my favorite. The third one was the first one that I ever saw in ever. So but yeah, like those movies kind of have this weird like sense of humor about them. Like they're very. If I had to put it in one sort of phrase, dad joke. Like they are full of dad jokes. Like you know what I mean? Like these kind of like. If they weren't as exaggerated as they are, like they'd be so eye rolly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, someone's like, "Stop horsing around," and it's like somebody on a horse.
Right, exactly. So they also made Top Secret and Hot Shots with fucking Charlie Sheen. That's really good too. Yeah, Top Secret with I believe Val Kilmer, right?
I know the Hot Shots, but I don't know Top Secret. I've never seen that one.
Top Secret's pretty good, man. I recommend checking it out. Same kind of humor, same style, hell yeah. So I was introduced to the Zuckers, like that kind of comedy before Mel Brooks, because my history on Mel Brooks is very limited. I feel like you intentionally pick movies with directors that just completely stump me, like John Carpenter. But yeah, man, this was... So I actually watched Spaceballs kind of very fucking recently. I was way too old to watch that movie for the first time. Like I liked it. It was definitely great. It was a bit silly. It was on the silly side of stuff. And I watched Blazing Saddles not too long after that. So I've only seen 3 Mel Brooks movies, including Young Frankenstein. So I'm very kind of like very amateur Mel Brooks, but I love his style, man. I love his comedy. I love his comedy style. It's very old school. It's very I don't know how to word it. It's very clever comedy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not all slapstick. Like, there is slapstick in there, but it's like, dude, I'm going to put this out there. Slapstick is my worst favorite comedy, my least favorite comedy. I hate slapstick, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Like,
it's pretty bad.
It's just cheap. It's cheap laughs, and I'm just not a fan of it anymore. Like, I get that it was a big thing, like, you know, when you're older with Jesus Christ. Why am I forgetting him? The 3 fucking Three Stooges? Yes, Jesus Christ.
I was like, really?
For some reason, I'm thinking Three Amigos. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of like the slapstick stuff. So like the clever kind of comedy like this, like you know, like that you get in fucking Airplane especially, dude. I guarantee you, we will cover that movie one day. I love that movie. I definitely show up to those kinds of comedies more than anything. And look, you know, this is not the first time we've covered comedy on the podcast, right? Like we've covered Superbad, we covered Hangover, and those are different kind of comedies. Like those rely on a bit more sort of like mature, sort of like adult themes, sort of like crude, crass kind of humor, whereas these are kind of like old school, you know, you can kind of like take your family to sort of thing, right? Like,
right. It's just super silly, you know. It's not anything. And I think that's one of the things that, as we get into this, makes this kind of timeless. Is like the fact that it's not like, you know, I don't know. There's nothing topical. It's not political. There's nothing kind of crude about it. It's not one thing is like taboo, and now this isn't really anymore. Blah blah blah. Like it's kind of timeless for that reason exactly that you're talking about.
Exactly, and that's another thing that I was going to get into, man. Like, this is made in 1974, and Mel Brooks has purposefully tried to kind of, like, set it, like, around the 30s, because, like, obviously Frankenstein. So, like, it doesn't seem like it's aged. Like, it's aged very well, in fact. Just because, like, he's definitely tried to, like, the way he shot it, the way he's kind of, like, gone about, like, you know, the production of it seems like it's ripped straight from the 1930s, but like it's done by design. Like it's all, you know, it's fantastic, man. I definitely dug this movie. Like if I want to get into my thoughts on this movie, definitely dug it. This was my first time watching it. And that's mostly due to the fact that I cannot find this movie anywhere, dude. I was telling you off air, like, because we did the competition between Birdcage and Young Frankenstein, and Young Frankenstein won, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, so let me go seek this out. Jumped on JB Hi-Fi, which is like a massive, like, franchise store here, like a massive, like, you know, electronics department store. jumped on that fucking website. Oh, yeah, they don't sell Blu-rays of Young Frankenstein. And I'm not buying a DVD, dude. I'm sorry. I'm one of those fucking old curmudgeons who's just like, I'm not buying a DVD. It's outdated. So, yeah, no Blu-ray. Jumped on iTunes. No iTunes streaming. Like, it's not even listed in the fucking store. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Stan. I could not find this movie for the life of me. And this may be the thing that gets the podcast pulled out of, like, off the air. But I had to pirate this, dude. I had to pirate this bitch. Yeah, dude, like, there's so many bases to cover. So, man, Gene Wilder. Man. Gene Wilder is fucking badass in this movie, dude. I love him in this film. The only other thing that I've been exposed to him was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And Blazing Saddles. But I think that, man, I think out of those three performances that I've been exposed to, this is probably the best. Like, this was so fucking good, man. And, like, it just, like, I'm watching it with just a little bit of sadness, man, because it's just like he was a true talent, and it's just a shame that he's gone now. So, yeah, like, definitely dug it. Definitely dug his performance. And one more thing before I pass it off to you. I guess this is probably our best opportunity to talk about our familiarity with the story of Frankenstein.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
I tried, like, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. I started it, and I just did not have the patience for it. So I actually need to go back and, like, give it a read, because I haven't given it, like, a fair shake, really. I think what I picked up expecting to read was not what was on the page. I thought it was going to be something else. So I probably need to go back and give it another shot, though. But no, I've never read it. Yeah,
it is boring. I'm just going to put it out there, man. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or The Tale of the Modern Prometheus, or whatever the fuck it's called, fucking boring, dude. I watched it, I read it in year 10. We had to read it for English. And I don't remember much about it. I remember that it started off with ships, and I was like, man, fuck this, man. Like, Frankenstein isn't about ships, it's about castles and shit.
Right, yeah. So, I remember that, and I remember, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, dude, this is not what I thought. Like, where's the digging the body up and all this other stuff? Like, right. It's like a flashback, starts like a flashback. I was like, this is just weird.
Right. Yeah. Like, I was like, where's all the horror stuff? Like, what is this? What, like, and the writing, like, Mary Shelley's writing isn't, like, it's very old school, obviously, because it's written ages ago. But yeah, I don't remember the book very well. I haven't seen the 1931 Boris Karloff film. I have seen the 90s Kenneth Branagh film. Not great.
I say, of course you have.
Not great. Yeah, of course I have. And I've seen the modern masterpiece that is Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman. So, fuck yeah. Thought I had to chuck that out there.
Masterpiece of shit, maybe.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was hoping you detected the sense of sarcasm there. But yeah, man, like, I definitely love this movie. This was actually really, really fun to watch. I had a smile on my face like an idiot the whole fucking time, dude. It's just really funny, silly, but not Spaceball silly kind of humor, man. Like, I was into it. I definitely dug it. So really glad to talk about this one.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Oh, sorry. I was putting my coffee down. I'm trying to think of the first time so this is the first time that you've seen it before. You've never seen it?
No, this was the first time.
Okay. See, and like the first time I saw it, this was I remember this cardboard box my brother Adam had of VHS tapes. And then there was like The Burbs, Silver Bullet, Mad Max, there's like a bunch of, pretty much a lot of the stuff that went on to be some of my favorite movies. And I remember this being in there and being like, what the fuck is this? I'd never seen Willy Wonka. I didn't see Willy Wonka until I was like 25. I just never saw it. It just wasn't something we grew up with. And it's a good movie. I missed the boat on it because I was, I don't know, denied that as a kid, for lack of a better term. It just never was in our wheelhouse of movies. So I don't really have like, oh, as a kid, Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, that's, Willy Wonka, blah, blah. Like I knew kind of who Gene Wilder was. But I was familiar with, Mel Brooks because we had seen a big movie growing up here that's really funny, actually, too, is Robin Hood Men in Tights with Carrie Ewells. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I do want to. That is on my list. So.
It's fucking funny, man. It's got Dave Chappelle in it. It's like 95. I was like, holy shit.
Is that the one with Alan Rickman?
Yes. No.
Or is that the actual
that's
Robin Hood?
That's the actual one with Kevin Costner. yeah. I'll cut your heart out with a rusty spoon.
I'm such a shitlord.
No, that one, it's got, it's got Carrie Ewells and Dave Chappelle. Like Mel Brooks is in it for a little bit as he kind of cameos in a bunch of stuff. But I was familiar with him from Robin Hood Men in Tights to Dracula Dead and Loving It with Leslie Nielsen. Like I loved those movies as a kid. I own like a lot of his movies. But I've still never seen the producers. I've seen Blazing Saddles like once. There's like a lot of his filmography that I'm actually kind of like ignorant to. And, most of it just comes from the fact that there's a reason why I saw Robin Hood Men in Tights and Dracula Dead and Loving It, because 93 and 95, so I would have been a little kid when those were coming out, so I probably watched them when I was a little bit older, but I've never seen, History of the World or, I've seen Blazing Saddles like once, The 12 Chairs, like there's a bunch of his shit that I haven't seen. But he's just, God, Mel Brooks is just this charming, he and Gene Wilder both are these insane, like, charm machines. Like, I read this story. This is just something like this, like, I don't know, this made such an impact on me in realizing who, the kind of person that Mel Brooks was. So I'm a huge fan of this movie. In fact, I've got a copy of this book right here. It's actually like The Making of Young Frankenstein by Mel Brooks.
Oh, damn.
It's a fucking book that Lindsay got me for, I think, Christmas one year. And it just talks about like the making of it and then how everything came to be. So at some point in their apartment, Gene Wilder and I almost said Mel Gibson. Mel Brooks. Yeah. Gene Wilder and Mel Gibson.
Fucking hell.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to.
Dude. Fucking Mel Gibson hating the Jews.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. Like,
and you got it mixed up with fucking Mel Brooks, like the Jew.
They just come walking out of a room and like both of them have bloody noses and black eyes and their shirts are all torn up. And it's like, well, we worked it out somehow. No, there's the story of Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder talking about this one night in Gene Wilder's apartment, and it just devolves into like a screaming match over some scene. They were just arguing with each other. Mel Brooks slams the fucking door, leaves the apartment, gets down to the street below, gets on the payphone, calls Gene Wilder, and acts like one of his neighbors. He's like, who the hell do you think you are to have people yelling in there at 3 o'clock in the morning, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, that was just like, and Gene Wilder knew who it was. He was like, that's just Mel's way of like apologizing. Like he couldn't come out and say he was sorry. Like he just couldn't. But he could go down, he could 5 minutes come back later and make a joke about something and just to prove that it's cool. Like it's all right. Like this is not a big deal. And I was like, dude, that means like, I do that a lot. Like I get into arguments with people and, and I can make fun of it later and it makes some people uncomfortable. They're like, oh, dude, why would you bring that up? Blah, blah. I'm like, because I'm over it. It's funny. Like, it's funny to talk about now. Like, and some people just want to like forget about shit, but I'm like, no, that's how I conquer shit. And I'm just like, dude, I'm over it. If I can make fun of it, I'm over it. Like, that's just the way that I am. And I grew up watching.
Yeah, I can get on board with that mentality for sure.
Right. Yeah. I grew up watching a lot of his, like I said, a lot of his younger stuff, not a lot of his older stuff. But I remember just falling in love with this movie when I saw it. And I was like, what is this? I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. Even stuff like Dracula Dead and Loving It and Men in Tights. I mean, it's nothing like this. Like those are like goofy as fuck movies. And this one is silly. It's very silly, but it's really warm and charming. And I saw something in this book. They're like, we need this to be a little sad. We need this to be a little bit scary, and we need this to be a little bit like charming. Like we need all of that mixed into one. And I was like, dude, you fucking nailed it. That is exactly what this movie is. It's not really scary. There's a couple of parts that are like, oh, that's kind of spooky. It's spooky. It's not really scary. But I fall in love with that kind of like I bet you this is in Tim Burton's collection somewhere, you know? Like, there's so much, like, gothic shit about it that I fucking love. And I just love that kind of stuff.
Tim Burton watches this while masturbating, I guarantee you. Like, he's like, oh, yes, it's all dark and shit. Yeah.
Now,
meanwhile, Helena Bonham Carter's over there like, Tim, what are you doing again?
I'm going out with Johnny. Now, how familiar are you with, like, the old school, like, legit Universal monsters, like Dracula, Frankenstein, all that shit?
Not very familiar. I haven't seen any Universal monster movie, even though I know, obviously, what they are.
Oh, man. I mean, and I'm not, you get those people that are just like, just because something's old and there's like, oh, those, man, those are the fucking classics. And you're like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not, it's not like I'm the opposite, like where it's like, oh, they're too old, so I'm not going to watch it. Like, I will watch them. Like, there's just never been like an opportunity, or like I've never been like, oh, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to watch the fucking 1931 Frankenstein movie. Like, it's never just come up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never just kind of like had the urge to watch it, I guess.
See, now, when I was growing up, we had cable or satellite for a really small amount of time. And I used to watch Sci-Fi Channel all the time, though. They had this awesome show hosted by motherfucking Christopher Lee called The Haunting Hour. And it would just be him sitting in a chair, and he's like, now back to Masters of Horror. And I'm like, oh, that Masters of Horror, that's what it's called, not The Haunting Hour. But he would just play these, like, old school black and white Universal, like, kind of monster movies. So I remember we had Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, like, on VHS, ripped off the TV, and I was like, dude, it's stupid. It's like, a lot of it is fucking cheesy, and it doesn't really hold up, but it's still like a great movie. Like, I remember watching that with my brother. In fact, for Christmas one year, I got him the Blu-ray package of like Frankenstein and Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, because we watched it like all the time, and that's where I first fell in love with it. Like, I love the Lon Chaney Jr.'s Wolfman. I've seen Dracula. You know, I actually haven't seen Boris Karloff's Frankenstein, but I've seen like the Mummy movies with him in them. Just because that was like a staple of my childhood. Like I said, obviously, you know, my parents were a little bit older. My grandparents, like, God, I mean, they were, I mean, I was the youngest of four, so they were a lot older by the time I came around. So this is the kind of stuff we watched, you know, Walton's Little House on the Prairie, fucking Murder, She Wrote, you know, shit like that, like older TV shows. And like, so seeing this kind of stuff again, seeing this stuff like parodied, because it's the only thing that's ever parodied like Universal monster movies. And I think that's so interesting. It has such a unique taste to it, because nothing else, if anything came out and parodied a Universal monster movie, someone would go, you're just trying to rip off Young Frankenstein. It's like, dude, that they are like the first one to plant the flag there. And I think that's fucking fantastic. The kind of atmosphere on the set that I was reading about was like, dude, if I had a time machine, I would just want to hang out on that set for just a day. They said it's like by the time that like production was wrapping up, there's a scene that got deleted of everybody walking down the stairs at the end as the credits like roll. And they deleted it just for like time's sake and stuff. But they were saying that like the shit was over with, like principal photography and everything, and they just kept adding scenes because nobody wanted to go home. And I was
that's
like,
awesome.
I was like, man, it's crazy to like hear about the chemistry. It's crazy to hear about. I did that. I feel
it's
like
wild.
Yeah, I feel like with this whole. I feel like with this whole.
I heard it.
Yeah,
I heard it. Don't worry, man.
But there's a quote by Mel Brooks. I was reading that book that he said. You know, everybody had gone home and he was like leaving, and Gene Wilder was sitting on the bed on the set, and he was like, what are you doing, Gene? And like, it was like the last day of production, and Gene's like, I think I got a couple more scenes that I can put in here that would be really cool. And he's like, Gene, it's done. You know, it's great. It'll be a really great movie. And he's like, and he just put his head in his hands and he kind of started to cry, and he was like, I don't want to go home. He's like, I this is the best my life has ever been right now. He's like, this is fucking fantastic. I've had so much fun. Like, I don't want to go home. I want to keep playing. And like, I was like, God damn,
God,
man.
that's awesome.
I know. And I was like, God, they said it was just unnatural. The chemistry between these people, like there was no real egos clinging around, even though you had a lot of like, it was an ensemble cast. And I was like, dude, it's so fucking awesome to hear that, because I think way too fucking often people throw around the term, man, they don't make them like they used to. And it's like, no, This is that they don't make them like they used to. Like nothing like this. This will never be made again. Nothing will come close. If you try to remake this, I don't know what I'll do to you, but it'll be violent and dark and wet, and you won't like it.
Well, well, dude, like it's awesome because like when there's such great chemistry between the cast and crew, like it's awesome when it's reflected in the actual final product, and it just feels like everyone's having fun on this set. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you had not told me that trivia, even if you had not told me any of that behind the scenes stuff, I would have probably guessed that these guys had the greatest time on set.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they said just the chemistry between them is absolutely fantastic. And that Teri Garr, she plays Inga. She and Gene Wilder apparently wound up like really falling in love on the set.
Show.
Oh my God! Have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yeah. What is she in that?
She is. She's in Dumb and Dumber. She's the one when I guess Harry is meeting Mary, and she's like, Mary's been looking for someone to hit the slips. What do you say? She's this that's fucking Mary's stepmom in the movie. I was like, holy shit.
That's wild. That's wild.
And I mean, like you were saying, it's so sad, the loss of Gene Wilder, but also Marty Feldman has died. Peter Boyle has died. Madeline Kahn has died. Like Teri Garr and I think Cloris Leachman and Mel Brooks are like the only people alive like from this movie. Peter Boyle met his wife on set. She was like doing an article for Rolling Stone. So like people were just apparently falling in love left and right. It was just like a fucking awesome place to be. Which ended up kind
speaking of age, sorry, just quickly, Colin. Speaking of age, Gene Hackman.
Oh fuck! I was hoping you didn't catch that. I was gonna be like, surprise, bitch.
No. I picked it up immediately, dude. I was just like, his voice and his face, like, it's too obvious. But man, you know he's 89 this year.
God damn, no.
Damn it.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, this is 74. He's probably 30 here.
He'd won 3 Oscars by this point, or been nominated for them.
Damn, yeah, because would he have Superman? Had he done Superman by this point?
Alan Michael Pauls, I'm so sorry, but I can't pull out the year for Superman right now. But yeah, like he did French Connection. He did I Never Sang for My Father, which is another one that he got nominated for. Oh no, he won for that. And Bonnie and Clyde, 1967. Ooh. So yeah, man, he'd already won 3 Oscars.
Yeah, I was hoping you hadn't noticed. I had to read about that. I never knew that was Gene Hackman. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. This has been put into the National Library of Congress. This has been put into American Film Institute's top 13th out of 100 funniest films of all time. It's been I can't remember what it's been put in, like, I think like the National Library or something for preservation, just because it's like for the ultimate level of artsmanship and craft and satire, blah blah. So it's basically this is legendary. This needs to be saved for like generations to come. And unfortunately, man, I don't feel like a lot of people my age have seen this, and it fucking sucks. Like, I was like, dude, you're crazy. And like, I am a man out of time sometimes, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, have you guys ever seen, and I still love Happy Gilmore and Dumb and Dumber, and I love some newer stuff too, but like, especially, as I've talked about a dozen times, fucking Edgar Wright, but these older comedies and shit just get like lost in time. And I'm like, man, this fucking sucks, because there's such funny movies that are just like, what is that? Is it old? It looks old. No, we're gonna go see The Hangover. Yeah, we're gonna go see The Hangover 12. I'm like, all right, cool.
Dude, like that shit. Like, I totally get that sentimentality, because like it's, I love Airplane. Like, Airplane might be for me what this is to you, because I don't know. But anyway, so I made my brother watch it, and like, he did like kick and scream at the side. He's like, oh, it's old. It's in the 70s, and he ended up loving it, dude. And now, like, I catch him like watching it, rerunning it, So it's just kind of like, get over that little speed bump, like right at the start, where it's just like, oh, it's old. Like, just because it's old doesn't mean you're not going to enjoy it, man. Like, it has that kind of like innocence to it as well, because you're not coming into it with all this like political shit that today's like social commentary films would have, like in comedies. So,
right, yeah, 100%. But I fucking love this movie. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. I think it is an all-time classic.
Top 10?
Do what?
Is it in your top 10?
Yeah, oh yeah, and comedies and probably just movies in general. Like I fucking love Young Frankenstein. I always have.
Good
I
call.
always will. It's one of the best films of all time. It's very. If somebody doesn't like this movie, I don't trust them. I'm like, dude, no. I immediately have like fucking eyes sideways for you. I'm like, how do you not like this movie? It's fucking fantastic.
I was scared to like watch this movie and and formulate my opinions on it because I was like, I feel like I'm gonna get shanked.
Right. You're sitting there thinking, you're just like, I don't think I like this movie. And in the back of your head, I'll cut you, bitch. You're like, I like this movie. I like this movie.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
But yeah, now that we spent fucking half an hour talking about our opening thoughts, I say we just go ahead and jump right into this bitch. What do you say?
Let's get into this bitch, dude.
Word. So yeah, like I said, this is Gene Wilder actually co-wrote this movie with Mel Brooks. There's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. Mel Brooks usually makes a lot of cameos. He told Mel Brooks, he's like, I'll let you direct this, but you can't make a cameo. He's like, it'll break the reality of stuff because everybody knows who you are. So he was like, yeah, oh sure, okay, sure, I'll do that. So there's a lot of like Mel Brooks like shit in here though, like when he's throwing the darts and you hear that like that cat screech, that's Mel Brooks.
Yeah, also the wolf, right?
Right, yeah, and shit like that. Like he's always got little parts in here. But like immediately right at the beginning, you have this guy wrestling a will out of a dead body,
like prying it from like someone's cold dead hands.
Right, literally. And I was like, God damn, dude. And we see him taking the will from Baron von Frankenstein, and then we cut to this medical, I guess, what do you want to call this, class, I guess, just talking
like
shop.
Classroom.
Yeah. Where we're introduced to Gene Wilder as Dr. Frankenstein. What did you think watching this for the first time and getting this feel for Gene Wilder right here in this opening scene?
Yeah, man. Like he's very understated. Like this opening scene, I just thought he was a little understated. Like he's not, because if you think about my sort of like history of watching Gene Wilder, from this to Blazing Saddles and obviously Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he's a lot more bombastic in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Despite that last sort of like scene in the office where he's just like, get out, like go away, like so it was really weird to kind of like see him like be a bit, a little more chilled out, but like he's not, at the same time, he's still, it feels like at any moment he's about to explode. Like that's the feeling that I get.
No, yeah, 100%. I think that he's very refrained in this. They actually said offset that Mel Brooks had a code, and Gene Wilder would come up to him and he would tell him either code orange or code blue. Code orange was, you're coming in too hot, cool down. And if it was code blue, he's like, you're too low, pick it up. And he's like, and that's it. That's the only direction he would give him, because he didn't really need to. And this is where I end up getting, like, I falling in love with these people who write and star in these films, like Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, because once you write, let's say you write it, no, it's pronounced Igor. When you have somebody who's doing that, like, they have to know the context that you wrote that in. And when you have somebody who's already on the same page with you, that's why these comedies work. When you have a writer who's also a director, or an actor who's also the director, they're all kind of in on it in the flow of things. When you get somebody who's just doing one of those and it's not, you get somebody who's just acting, it's like they can kind of run with their own interpretation of things. And it's different when you have somebody in on the writing process and things as they're written. Like he said this, one of these scenes where they first meet, actually the one I was just referencing, where they first meet at the train station is verbatim what he wrote the first time on a legal notepad. Because he was like, dude, it was just there.
Damn.
He's like, I didn't really need to change it. But I love this opening scene. I want to punch this fucking cunt in the face so bad.
Me too, dude. Like, just shut the like he's like, oh yeah, but your grandfather did this. Like, shut up.
Aren't you the least bit curious about your grandfather's? Oh my God. Like, Mel Brooks was like, we all hated him on set, like his character, but he was so nice. He was like such a nice guy, but we all fucking hated him just because he's such a little twat. But sir, like, he's just, such a pencil pushing little fucking asshole. Like, God,
you can see, like I love watching this scene because, like, you can kind of see just under the surface of Gene Wilder's face, like, it's just bubbling away.
Dude, yeah, and in watching this, I was like, man, I'm like, if I had to pick, like, I was thinking about, for some reason, I saw Gene Wilder, I started thinking about the Ghostbusters films, And I was like, man, I don't know why I'm thinking about Gene Wilder now in these Ghostbusters movies, but I was like, Gene Wilder would have been a great Ghostbuster. He would have fit in fucking so well with that. Like he's definitely in my dream team of like Ghostbusters that I want. But this whole scene is just fucking fantastic. You know, him, I don't really care for like this whole thing with, you know, Mr. Hilltop and putting the thing on the back of his neck and kicking him in the nuts. It's like, it's funny when you're 14, but honestly now I'm just kind of like, The funniest part of the whole thing is when he's pulling him off, he's like, and in conclusion, just give him an extra $1. He's like, like I fucking love that part. I'm laughing my ass off. But the whole getting kicked in the nuts thing, I was like, you know, this is not.
Yeah, that's the slapstick stuff.
It doesn't work. And Carrot Top's chairman of the board, it's not going to work in this. Like, it just doesn't work for me. But this whole speech is great. You know, you have more of a chance of reanimating this scalpel than you do of fixing a broken nervous system. I'm like he like you said, that bubbling is just right under the surface, and it's like you pour the Coke too quickly and it starts fizzing up like right towards your face. You're like, oh my fuck, like it's about to fizz over.
Right.
But at first it just seems so like small and kind of like tidy, and then it just explodes with this rage. And he does that a couple of times. It's just fucking great.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I love the nice hopping.
yeah, nice hop.
Also, what do you know about Mr. Hilltop? Do you know much about this actor? Because I did a little bit of reading.
No, I didn't look at all.
So it's kind of interesting because this guy actually had emphysema.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like he actually had emphysema, and like you know, after each sort of like take, the casting crew would like ask him if he's okay, but he would always ask for cigarettes. He would always ask for cigarettes, and they'd just be like awkwardly be like, okay.
Jesus, man. Like at that point, at that age, it's like, well, no, man, don't do it. You might live. It's like, oh, fuck it. Just smoke the cigarettes. Fuck it.
Yeah, Liam Dunn. Liam Dunn is his name.
Honestly, like in that Mel Brooks book, I know. When I was looking through it, I saw I was like, there's a whole page about him, and I was like, really? The guy has no lines. I was like, whatever, and I just skipped it.
Yeah, he's also, I believe, he's also in Blazing Saddles. He played Reverend Johnson. I can't remember that.
Oh,
guy.
Okay. Dude, I've only seen that once.
Same.
What did you think of that one?
I dug it. I didn't. You know, it probably out of the 3 Gene Wilder movies that I've seen, it might be at the bottom, but it's still definitely funny.
Yeah, no, it's been such a long time that I've seen it. I mean, last time I saw it was probably on fucking VHS. Like, no shit.
Yeah, it's old school. Richard Pryor's awesome in it, though.
I'm not interested in death. The only thing that concerns me is the preservation of life. Fucking stabs himself in the lip glass.
Dude, like the way he hides it and covers it up.
Oh, you could. The pad on his leg is just so obvious, like that, and that's what's great about these movies. They don't try to hide this shit. It's like you're in on the joke that they're in on. Like, of course, it looks ridiculous. It's fucking great. That makes it 10 times funnier to me.
I read that apparently Gene Wilder used to be very notorious for just like cracking up during takes and shit and just like laughing and blowing them. Like Cloris Leachman like lost her shit at him apparently, but like during this moment especially, like they apparently like Mel Brooks had to like like come in really tight on his face, or like I don't know, he had to like kind of find a way to edit it around it because he just started laughing immediately after this.
Yeah, dude, and I watched the outtakes. I watched the documentary about the making of this, and they said that at one point the people were laughing so hard the fucking camera operator had to be like watched over because he said he would start laughing and the camera would shake. Or
That's
during
awesome.
the first time Peter Boyle rips off putting on the Ritz, they had to give all the people in the crowd paper towels to bite down when they were laughing to like cover their mouths with and shit. And Mel Brooks is like, I go out, I buy like a box of tissues or like a roll of paper towels. We do like 2 of those scenes. That's it. I look back and it's an empty box. Every single person had to get one. And I was like, oh my God, that's fucking great. But yeah.
Also, sorry, just quickly. Scalpel in the leg. Did that not remind you of Ricky Bobby?
Oh yeah, it kind of did. I forgot about that. You know, I guess I remember the good one that did it.
No, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, oh, here we go.
But yeah, he's inherited the will from his great grandfather, Baron Beaufort von Frankenstein. Frederick travels to Europe to inspect the property. This train station shit fucking cracks me up, especially with Madeline Kahn, which
God.
I watched her a little bit on the Cosby Show back in the day, before, obviously he's a horrible monster. But she...
No, I don't. Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't hear about that. But no, I love Madeline Kahn in this. She's fucking great. She originally read for Inga, and she was like, no. She's like, I want to play Elizabeth. And they're like, what? He was like, I can't believe she wanted to play Elizabeth. But as soon as they brought in Teri Garr hit him with that German accent, and then Madeline Kahn slipped right in. It's just like stuck up rich girl kind of shit. And it was like, it just clicked. It was perfect. Everybody knew exactly who they were playing. And I was like, God, that's fucking so great.
Madeline Kahn's fantastic in this, dude. Like, especially this scene here, like, because we all men have had this situation with their girlfriends or wives. Like, oh, I'm going to say bye to you, or like give you a hug or something. No, I just did my hair. Or no, watch the nails. Like that bullshit. It's so it's so relatable.
No, it's like, I just did my makeup. Stop.
Yeah, dude. I got to hug someone, and then she's just like, oh, you're wearing dark clothes. It's going to smear the makeup.
Yeah.
Like my makeup's going to smear like on your clothes. Like, fuck off.
I love this whole scene with them leaving. It's fucking great. Taffeta, dear, taffeta, darling. No, the dress is taffeta. It wrinkles so
it's fantastic.
easily. Like, dude, I could sit here and quote you this movie all back to back to back to back. Like, this so fucking quotable, so great. Oh, there comes that horrid man again. Like, everybody is so fantastic in the roles. It's like, it's not that it's easy to remember. It's hard to forget. Like, it's so fucking well done. But Frederick gets on the train. I love this couple on the train. He was at it again. Well, let him. They're saying the exact same thing in German when they're on the train. Like the exact same thing.
I read that,
There is this famous song that I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It was a joke that always flew over my head. Chattanooga Choo Choo is the name of the song. And it's a reference to this, track 29, Hey Boy, Won't You Give Me a Shine? Like, I've never heard the song. It flew right over my head for years. And finally, when my parents were watching it years ago, my dad goes, you don't know what that means, do you? And I was like, no. He was like, it's a song by like Glenn something from the 70s. I was like, oh, okay, fuck if I know. But it's one of the only things, I think even Mel Brooks said, he's like, it's one of the only jokes that like it's even remotely topical and has to do with the time, and it does not hold up because it's a reference. It's a reference to something of the time, and it just didn't.
Right. It dates it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't want to go past. I love the next stop New York, and then it's like, and then Transylvania from there. Like where how are you making these connections?
Right. Yeah. It's literally like he's sitting in the same Transylvania next. It's like the same conductor. Everybody on the train is the same. He gets to the station, Dr. Frankenstein, the first shot of Marty Feldman. Holy shit. What did you think about this guy?
Dude, man, I knew that there was going to be an Igor character in this. Like, there had to be, because you can't have a Frankenstein story without him. But, it was kind of unsettling. Like, I was just like, wow, you are... you have some papers. But yeah, like, honestly, this first shot is awesome. Like I love the voice. I love the that stock lightning sound in the background that crashes and shit. It's cool. I dig him. In terms of Igor throughout the whole movie, though, if Gene Wilder wasn't in this, he would be the MVP.
Oh, dude, without a doubt. Like, they said Marty Feldman was the one. I mean, and he died really young, really sad. But he was a constant chain smoker. He was just this, like, always fidgeting, ready to go, like, high-strung guy. And they're like, dude, he just brought that to set every day. It was like lightning in a bottle. I was like, God, that's so fucking awesome, dude. But
I'm just like, can you please just like not open your eyelids anymore, because they're going to fall out, dude.
Right, yeah, and it's so funny because he meets him, Dr. Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein. You're putting me on. He's like, no, it's pronounced Frankenstein. Well, why isn't it Frederick Frankenstein? It's not. It's Frederick. It's like, He's like, oh, you must be Igor. No, it's pronounced Igor. It's like, dude, up until that point, no, it is fucking And it's fucking Igor, but he's so pissed at him for being calling himself something else. He's like, no, fuck you. You know what? Fuck you. It's Igor.
I love it. I love this like petty conversation that's happening in this very serious moment. It's
right,
fantastic.
yeah, 100%. And I love these sets that they have, man. Like when they're riding through in a couple of minutes and we see like the fog through the trees and shit, I want to go walking through that shit so fucking bad. Like that looks so much like a Tim Burton set from hell, but then like also it looks just like The Wolfman with Lon Chaney. That's one of my favorite Universal monster movies, and it's just fucking fantastic. It's really, really, really well done.
Hell yeah, man! Like the production design in this film is outstanding. Like we'll get to the equipment like in the castle and shit like later, but
oh yeah,
when he's standing here at the train station, like the cinematography as well, like it seems so like obviously shot in black and white on purpose, but it seems so noir. It seems so like Chinatown. Like I love that kind of like aesthetic of it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the funny part was the cinematographer, he knew they wanted to shoot in black and white, but regular black and white isn't as saturated as this, he was saying. So they started watching the daily reels, and Mel Brooks was getting pissed. And Gene Wilder goes, well, hey, hold on, Mel. He's like, we just told him black and white. We never told him the exact kind of look that we wanted. So he's like, Gene was just the nicest guy on set. Like Mel could start getting irritated, but Gene was always there to like smooth things over. And it was so funny because, he said Mel Brooks was kind of a dick to him, and then they finally they just saturated the shit out of this. 3 weeks later, they're looking at these dailies, and Mel Brooks looks at the cinematographer, and he goes, I'm glad I didn't fire you 3 weeks ago. And he goes, fuck you, you're glad I didn't quit. It's like, oh, that's fucking great. That's so funny.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of this. I haven't seen any of this cinematographer's other films. His name is Gerald Hirschfeld, but he's worked with like big directors like Sidney Lumet and Michael Crichton as well.
Yeah, he's definitely old school. Like he's an old school like cinematographer. As I'm watching this, I'm like, man, I mean, this guy. I watched the making of documentary from like 98 or 99, and he's like 70 in that. I was like, oh, okay, shit, like he's on out there. But this whole scene is fucking hilarious. Walk, this way, and hands him the cane, and he walks.
Oh my god, man! I was in stitches. Like,
now, do you want to know what this inspired?
What?
Think what famous American rock song has those 3 words in it?
Oh yeah, I read it. Aerosmith. Yeah. What's the song though? Fuck.
Walk This Way.
Oh.
It's literally called Walk This Way. It said 3 words. I was like, really?
It's early. It's early. Yeah, but yeah, Steven Tyler apparently was like super inspired, right?
Well, this is the story on ultimateclassicrock.com. This is, according to bassist Tom Hamilton, the final touch of inspiration came from a screening of the Mel Brooks classic Young Frankenstein. There's a part where the main character arrives at the train station in Transylvania, and he's met by his classic evil assistant, who takes a suitcase for him and hobbles down the steps and says, walk this way. And to humor him, he follows him down the steps the same way he told Spin Magazine. So we told Stephen, you've got to call the song Walk This Way. And Stephen was like, you can't tell me what the fuck to call the song. I haven't even written the lyrics yet. But we told him he had to do it, so he did.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, this is 74. That comes off of Toys in the Attic in 75. So, like, yeah, their album, Toys in the Attic, 75. So it makes sense. But yeah, this whole thing is great. My favorite, I think it might be my favorite part of this movie, when he's like, oh, of course the rates have gone up, and he's like, oh no, yeah, we'll get along, and he pats that fucking hump, and he's like, and he kind of pauses and he goes, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm a rather brilliant surgeon. I could get rid of that hump for you.
What hump?
Yeah, what hump? And just, it's so quiet. And I wish we had the visuals to go with this, because Gene Wilder's face, he just kind of looks around and he's like moving his lips without any sound. He's like, and he stops.
His reaction.
He goes, let's go.
It's fantastic, dude. I love it so much. Like that, like all of the jokes with his hump, like are fantastic. Like the way it like moves, like from left to right.
Improvised. He improvised that shit.
Really?
They said Marty Feldman would swap it back and forth, and after like a week, somebody finally noticed, and they were like, "Oh, that's got to go in. That's awesome. Going in." But this is where we're also introduced to Inga, fucking Teri Garr. Oh my God, dude. It's like, Jesus Christ. And she said when she auditioned, she said, I got the script, it was all boob jokes. So I went in there with like this push-up bra stuffed with like socks in it and made my tits look huge. And I got the part.
Nice.
I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I was weirded out because my one of my best friends' name is Inga, and I've never met anyone else named Inga. So I was just like, oh, hi, Inga.
No, yeah, I've definitely never met an Inga. Like, Jesus, that sounds like some fucking. that sounds like
she's Croatian.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that sounds like some conqueror shit.
Yeah,
but this whole thing. Would you like to have a roll in the hay? This whole scene is fucking fantastic. The hayride limo that they have, this like huge long limousine. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. And, we can't just keep going over every single joke, though. Like, we've got to skip over some of this stuff. That wolf, their castle. I mean, it's hilarious. If you're watching this, you've seen the movie. It's fantastic. But this bit of them getting to the castle, okay, there's a common misconception here because the joke is, every time they're saying Frau Blucher that they're neighing. Now, I've heard for years that Frau Blucher in German means horse glue. And that's why the horses are freaking out.
Oh.
Now, that's not true. I actually read that in that book today, the one written by Mel Brooks, where he was saying, no, he's like, I wish we were that smart, but it's just not the case. And he's like, it would have been funny. He's like, he got it from some other movie. But he was like, I honestly wish that was the truth, but it's just not. But this whole running gag of them saying, Frau Blucher and then neighing, the fact that it comes back so many times, it feels like, the greater good. Everybody says the greater good after the greater good in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this feels like such a throwback to those that kind of humor. It's great.
I love it. I also this is stupid fucking toilet humor, but I love it. Nice knockers.
Oh, dude,
Thank you.
I was sick, dude. Teri Garr, 12-year-old me was like, I'm gonna fire blank both my nuts later to this fucking chick. Because I'm like, good Lord,
25-year-old me.
No, she's like, I had such a crush on her growing up, and and then I saw Dumb and Dumber, and I was like, whoa. I was like, I mean, she's still a gorgeous lady, but shit, I did not think that was her. It's like, did you get shorter? I was like, she seems so tall in this. And apparently her and, Gene Wilder wound up just kind of hitting it off on the set, which Gene, and it's an interesting time to touch on this because Gene Wilder was kind of like a ladies' man. He was married like 4 times.
I heard that. Like he slayed some ass.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I'm watching this interview with him a long time ago, and I can't remember what the show is called. And it's a little bit later in his career, and he was like, basically he had fallen in love with this woman named Gilda Radner. She was on SNL in the early days. I think she might have even been an original member. But after being married so many times, they got married, and he was like, I'm in love. This is it. She died of cancer, like really young. It was really sad. So then he only remarried one time after that. Then they were, together until he died. But the funny thing is, I'm watching this interview, and he's talking about being married to Gilda Radner now, and he's like, it took the love of several women, to get myself right, where I was appreciative of women and I respected them a lot more, and I knew what love was, blah blah. And and the interviewer's like, several, huh? And he's like, well, 3 or 4. And he goes, some say several would be 5 to 7. He goes, well, if you insist. I was like, dude, the guy is all fucking class, dude. Like,
love that, man.
He's so witty and he's so clever.
That's like a real life Bond.
Right. And like, there is something about Gene Wilder that like I wish more people had that. People just don't. Like, everything has to be a dick or a fart joke or something crude or making fun of somebody. And it's so hard to find humor these days that's like, I don't want to say not offensive to anyone, because that's just not going to happen. But like, the fact that this silly humor, it's just not there anymore. And it's like, man, it sucks. Like, I think the Scary Movie were kind of like the last gasp of that. Like, I haven't seen anything like that since.
I agree.
And they were absolutely inspired by these movies. I mean, there's no denying that. But it's just so sad to see, and that's why I love seeing stuff like Shaun of the Dead. I think Shaun of the Dead is kind of a throwback to even these kind of movies. Anything that's a horror comedy owes a lot to Young Frankenstein, and I'm a huge fan of horror comedies. Evil Dead 2, even though that might be a little bit I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little different. I think Evil Dead 2 kind of goes a bit more a little more campy.
Oh, 100%. It's very slapstick, campy kind of humor. But what did you think of Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher?
Yeah, she gave me nightmares. No, she didn't. No, she didn't actually. She was funny, man. Like, she actually had some pretty funny parts. Like, there's this moment coming up where she's like, "No milk."
Yeah.
Like when
a glass of warm milk.
Yeah, man. Like she plays with she plays with Wilder, like opposite Wilder, so well, man. Like I dug it. I dug it.
Well, if they ever
awesome.
remade this, God forbid, the only person I'm okay with doing her role is Jane Lynch. That's the only person I'm okay with doing it.
Yes.
I was like, Jane Lynch is fucking hilarious. She's great. But I think that
also the candles.
Oh, dude, they said this. They're like half our jokes borderlined on insanity because it was so dumb that it was crazy, kind of shit. And like, stay close to the candlelight. The staircase can be treacherous. I was like, dude, that's so fucking funny. And what's really creepy is you hear this voice in her all the time. And then when they break for bloopers, she goes, come on, Gene, you're making me mess. And I'm like, whoa, that's fucking weird. Like that shit fucked me up.
That's acting. That's fucking acting, dude. I love that.
Absolutely, dude. I love Igor running back, Brokar, and then all the fucking horses pick up again.
His smile after that, dude. His little smile to himself.
Yeah. But yeah, I fell in love with this. I can remember this specific part being younger, being like, this is insanely good. Like this has won me already. And let me see here, fucking 15 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, this has already won me over. But I think that. Sorry, let me see where we are. Upon Rebel meets Frau Blucher. And this is where they discover the secret entrance. We get the scene with her.
Right.
Of him, would the doctor want a glass of brandy before retiring? Ovaltine.
Dude, the Ovaltine got me. I was just like, the way she like pipes up and says it, Ovaltine. Like, because she's about to turn around and say something else. She's not done yet. But I love I love Frankenstein just being like, just fucking slowly cracking. Like, he's slowly like getting pushed further and further to the edge until he cracks.
Oh, dude, she said that she was not prepared for, she's like, Ovaltine. He's like, nothing. Thank you. She's like, I was not prepared for like how visceral he was going to be. Then I will say, good night. Good night. I was like, God, that's so fucking funny. But it's where we get him having the nightmare. Inga comes and wakes him up. And we have this whole revolving staircase thing. The first time I actually ever saw this scene was in Big Daddy. Have you ever seen Big Daddy, Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
It's on the TV. They have that ba 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 ba, that whole montage when he's they're watching Young Frankenstein, and I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. And I'd never known what the scene was from. But I mean, this is obvious. Okay, listen to me very carefully. With all of your might, shove on the other side of the bookcase. Like, dude,
that's the candle back.
Yeah, put the candle back. This whole scene's fucking hysterical. I mean, if any of the scenes in this are iconic, this is one of them, and you got to talk about it. But this whole thing of them going down the stairs. Actually, the candle that he's holding, there's a light on the inside of it shining into their faces that's in his like hand. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, a lot of this shit was like super practical. And one thing we should talk about is like the budget and shit for this real quick. Do you know what the budget was for this?
Yeah, just under $3 million.
Yeah, you know what it made back?
It's fucking something insane, like 58 or some shit.
Like 80?
Oh, 86.
Yeah, like $86 million back. Here's something interesting. They take this to Columbia. They take this to Columbia, and I think the producer's name, Michael something. I can't remember the producer's name of this, but he says that he's, they take this to they take this to Columbia, and Columbia is just like, no. They're like, you're never gonna make like no. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. they said when they first brought this to Columbia was like, yeah, sure, 100%. Yep, cool, you got it. You can do it. Yep. Yeah, and they were 100% on board with everything. And so actually, this is a direct quote. We knew Young Frankenstein had to be in black and white if we were going to salute those great Universal pictures of the 30s, and we thought we needed $2 million to do it. So this brilliant hustler, our producer, Michael Gruskov, set up a meeting at Columbia Pictures. The meeting was fine. They loved the script. They loved the idea. They wanted to make it. We love you. You love us, blah, blah, blah. On the way out, I shouted, oh, by the way, we're going to make it in black and white, and then we slammed the door and walked off. A thundering herd of Jews followed us down the hall from the meeting room. They were screaming, no, wait, come back, not black and white. I was like, holy shit, dude. I mean, that's from fucking Mel Brooks. Like, anybody have a problem with me saying awesome. That, you can fuck off and quoting somebody. Like, I was like, dude, that is fucking... I busted out laughing reading this thing. And I love that about Mel Brooks as a guy with a sense of humor, as somebody who's Jewish, and I mean, he's probably seen and heard and just so many horrible things, to still have a sense of humor about things like that.
Of course, man.
Especially Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. Blazing Saddles, a lot of it in Spaceballs as well. Surprisingly.
Oh, God, yeah. His fucking dog barf, like that shit always cracks me up.
I mean, like, this is a guy, you got to remember, like, he was born in fucking 1926. He's 92 years old.
Yeah.
1926, he lived through the fucking, like, the Holocaust, dude. Like, he was, like, prime time age for the Holocaust.
Right, yeah.
And, like, you know, he saw all the bad shit that happened and everything like that. But, like, the fact that he's still able to kind of, like make jokes and pick jokes at it, you know? Like, it's awesome. Like, I dig his sense of humor for sure.
Now, do you know another movie that Mel Brooks got made?
No.
It's kind of just like, prepare yourself. It's going to blow your mind a little bit. It's The Fly. He was he helped get The Fly made. He's like a big producer of that because he said he just loved. I think that's David Cronenberg, and he was like, he he just loved it and got it produced. I was like, have you ever seen The Fly?
Yeah, I have actually. It's fucking wild.
I just now seen it this year. I bought it on Blu-ray right off the bat. I was like, there's no way that this could be bad. But there was something funny about, like, they sent him, they sent him the script, and he actually came up with the line, "Be afraid, be very afraid." Like the biggest line from The Fly. I was like, holy shit. And they started giving him shit on set. They started giving David Cronenberg shit on set, and Mel Brooks, like, they sent him a letter about something, what they wanted changes, and Mel Brooks was like, no, listen, we didn't ask you for your input. We're telling you that this is what we're doing, or I'm walking away. And he's walking away, and this whole thing's done. And he was like, you know how many good movies I've made? He's like, fuck off, leave me alone, and let me do my thing. And I was like, holy shit. Like, he fucking really went to the T for David Cronenberg on The Fly. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. But, I mean, he kind of gave him a chance when he hadn't really done... I mean, he'd done a few movies, but, like, holy shit, The Fly is what made David Cronenberg. But let's get back to this one. This whole scene of them finding Igor, you know, looking at the skulls, all of those are real skulls except for the 6-month-old head one. I was like, oh, what the fuck? I was like, that's kind of... And Marty Feldman stuck his head up there and he goes, this is kind of fucking morbid. He's like, I don't really want to do this. And they're like, dude, it's hilarious. And he goes, okay, I got something funny for you. I ain't got nobody. And like, they said everybody just lost it. Do
you know what Mel Brooks said about Marty Feldman's? Marty Feldman? No. I was about to say Corey. Jesus Christ.
Corey Feldman.
He's like, that's only a skull that only God can create.
This whole scene is fucking hilarious. It stuck with me for a long time. Igor Frederick. They're investigating what the sound of this music coming from. It might be dangerous. You go first. And like hides behind him. They get in. They find they find the laboratory, and then they find this other room. The book, How I Did It.
Fucking awesome, dude. Fuck? That's so great.
Oh, that's so fucking goofy. And this is really
that's so Zucker Brothers. I'm sorry. Like, I know I keep comparing the Zucker Brothers, like comparing Mel Brooks to the Zucker Brothers, but it should be the other way around because Mel Brooks did it first. But it's just like I was exposed to the Zucker Brothers first, so it's just like. I feel like this is very Airplane. This is very like Scary Movie 3 or 4. Like it's all It's all that kind of humor, and I'm there for this kind of stuff.
Right. No, 100%. It's like you can't have one without the other. You can't really fail to like mention that. This is where they find the cigar and the violin, I think, right? I love like Igor grabbing the violin. He's like, it's still warm. Like something about that cracks me up. I don't know what it is.
No, I'll tell you what it is, because it's that trope. It's that fucking horror trope where it's just like, oh, look, the candle's still warm, or like the body's still cold. Like it's just, the body's still warm. Like it's a fucking violin.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, maybe, I mean, I guess it would have to be worn. Maybe against somebody's body. It's like, wait, what the fuck? Well, yeah, this is, where they says up reading the book all night. Good work. Great scene. Cuts back to the painting. It's like smiling at him. This breakfast scene is like one of my favorite scenes in the movie. What you say is like, so in other words, his organs, his hands, his feet would all have to be increased in size. Yes, of course. He would have an enormous Glanznugen. It's like, well, that goes without saying. He's going to be very popular. Like that whole scene is fucking, oh my God. Especially Teri Garr. Woof. I'm like, God, she's so fucking hot. It's just like Sound of Music German girl. I was like, what the fuck? Actually, what's so funny is they said her blonde hair just showed up fantastic on the black and white, but they had to paint Peter Boyle green. He's like mint green. Like,
shit.
They said it just showed up really, really well. Igor makes the drawing. I love it. It's like it's not like, oh, here's all the schematics and everything we need. No, it's just a big lumber and fuck. Here you go. Here's the drawing I did.
It's basically a fucking cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon rendition of Frankenstein. I love it.
Right. And we cut to them, getting the body. I love this one. Get down! And then he pushes him down. They go down, and then he starts coming right back up. It's like, they break in. They steal the body. How the fuck do they get under the coffin?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. A little bit of magic.
Right, yeah. I was like, dude, I guess so much of this stuff is just supposed to be like, there's no way as hyper-focused and shit as Gene Wilder and Mel Gibson are. I chalk these up to like, they know
Mel Gibson.
Did I keep saying Mel Gibson? God damn it, dude. Oh, God.
They will never take our freedom.
Right. It just cuts back to him. He's like, I'm here for the gasoline. But no, yeah, I guess Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks are just in on so many of these jokes. Could be worse. How? Could be writing. It just starts pouring down.
I also don't want to go past Marty Feldman's sort of like, and like there's a little bit of it here, but it happens all the time. His movement as Igor, like the way he kind of like, because obviously he has to be a hunchback, but like the way he moves his like his agility, like the way he moves his legs, like his sort of like feet placement. I don't know if you notice, like it's very it's awesome. Like it's a great choice. Like it just makes him feel otherworldly.
Yeah, he's very like, I don't know, he's very like gargoyle, wiry kind of he's got this scurrying kind of thing about him.
Very creature-like, yeah.
Right, yeah. This whole scene with the constable, why, you're chilled to the bone, sir.
Oh my God, dude.
God, this was fucking great.
Oh, you should have seen the smile. Because, like, here's the thing. Whenever I watch comedies or, like, read something funny or a meme or some shit, I never laugh out loud. I just laugh internally. Like, I'm not one of those ones who, like, laugh out loud. I'm just someone who's, like, who laughs internally and just smiles. Like, you should have seen the massive fucking grin on my face this whole sequence, dude.
No, yeah, there's only a few moments in this movie that still like are like gut busting laughter from me because I just know it by heart. But like some scenes, I still can't fucking help it. They're just so hilarious. Him clacking the feet twice to get him to shake for him and stuff.
I love it.
The fact that they managed to hit the one rock in that whole road, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did you manage to? It's like hitting the one car in a parking lot. So they get the body back. This is where we're kind of half-assed introduced to Peter Boyle, the dad on Everybody Loves Raymond. That's really the only thing I really know him from. I'd seen him in the X-Files for an episode. But what do you think of Peter Boyle as the monster?
Man, he is fucking great. Like I like he's Frank from Everybody Loves Raymond, right? Like I love him. Like he's always this cranky old curmudgeon. Unfortunately, he's since passed away, but that's sad as well. But he's awesome, dude. Like I wish that I didn't know it was Peter Boyle before watching this movie, though, because like all I can see is Frank from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Right. Well, I mean, he just even the haircut. You're like, dude, it looks exactly the same.
Exactly. But yeah, man, I really love him. Like he emotes really well in this film, and like his sort of like the physicality of the monster. Now, not Frankenstein. Like there's a fucking like that's something that gets under my nerves. Everyone calls this monster Frankenstein. That's not fucking true. Like that's something that gets under my skin, dude. Like I hate when people are like, "Oh yeah, it's Frankenstein," and I'm like, "No, it's not Frankenstein. Frankenstein is the guy that created Frankenstein's monster."
Right. In fact, there's a scene in Monster Squad. They're doing like a monster test. It's like, is Frankenstein the guy, name the monster, or the guy that made him? They're like, the guy that made him. He's like, of course. Like, it's a fucking funny scene. But yeah, they get this body. This is the brain stealing scene. This shit is fucking hilarious. Like the brain that they're trying to steal, Hans Delbruck. I love this after 5 p.m. slip brains through slot and door.
Oh my god! And then you like fucking Igor walks in and he like gets scared by his own fucking hand.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, he sees his hand, and then when the door shuts, his hand's still behind him, and he like looks at it like shh, like be quiet. But yeah, this whole scene abnormal. All of this shit will come back later. It's fucking absolutely hysterical. But yeah, I this movie, I guess we should talk about the pace of this movie. I mean, dude, we're fucking 40 minutes into this thing. It spares no time, dude. And they said that was Mel Brooks. Like Mel Brooks was like, they sat down and it was the scene where they first decide to like resurrect Frankenstein. And he said, what you're about to see is a 14-minute long scene that's horrible. In 3 weeks, it'll be a 12-minute long scene that's a little bit better. And then 10 minutes. And then you'll see an 8-minute masterpiece. And Gene Wilder was like, whatever, fuck you. And he was like, I'll be damned if not. Like 2 months later, I was watching this 8-minute long fucking brilliant scene. I was like, oh, that's great. That's so fantastic. But yeah, this, I mean, and especially this, I love the fact that they give just a solo scene to Marty Feldman. Just let him do his thing. It's like, dude, you've got him, like, use him. This is so fucking great. Because I could easily, like, it explains why that, you know, Frankenstein is kind of, but like you could have just left this out and said you just got a brain that was just, you know, it was just his brain and that's just what happened. It's like, holy shit. But just to give this solo scene to it is so fantastic. So they try and resurrect him. We get this whole thing, impervious to nature and to the very womb of nature herself. Like this whole scene, especially when they get up there and Igor's flying the kite like, whee!
Are you sure this is how it's supposed to be done?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love that. Tie off the kite and come down. There's a possibility of electrocution. What? I said there's the possibility of electrocution. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Yeah. It's like, did you tie off the kites? Of course. He's like, oh, okay. And then we get the hump swap. This shit's fucking hilarious. But Gene Wilder, I know this is a comedy, but goddamn, like this whole scene of him, you know,
intense.
Life, do you hear me? Give my creation life. I'm like, that's so iconic. His, I mean, for one thing, he looks like he's got this like eyeshadow on, like mascara, you know, like it makes his eyes bulge out like a lot more. But I mean, just that's something so iconic. Him screaming and his eyes like kind of full of water, the vein going through his head. I'm like, dude, that to me, that's one of the most iconic shots of this whole movie.
Also, his hair, dude. Like, let's not forget his hair. Like, he looks like fucking like a mad scientist.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Like he just looks Jerome Silberman, as we were saying offline. That's crazy. So they give him the shock. Throw the third switch, not the third switch, master. Do it. It's so overdramatic. It's great. They wheel him down. You know, there's no pulse. I love this glowing effect that they have of the creature. They said that this was basically just a hollowed out dummy that they put a light bulb in and just threw a dimmer switch on it. And I was like, God, it's so fucking easy to just so easy to get away with shit like that back in the day, especially it's black and white,
Especially if you're like, even if you do fuck up or show a mistake, like you can still get away with like the whole excuse that it's like, oh well, look, we're parodying a older film, so it's fine.
Right, yeah, even if something is in like bad quality or something like that, it's like, well, it's a comedy. That's the best part, is when you're not being like serious about it, you can get away with shit like that, and that's fucking fantastic.
Imagine saying this kind of shit in Prisoners.
Oh my god, like, this is terrible. Gene Wilder's reaction right here is so fucking good. Him, and like, oh, doctor, no. If science teaches us one thing, it's to take our, successes as long as our failures with subtle dignity and grace. Good night, sweet prince. Turns around, starts struggling. He's like, you son of a bitch, I'll kill you. And dude, the double pounding like on the chest.
Oh
like,
my God.
We had to put like a plank. They're like, we had to put a pillow and a plank of wood underneath him, or like on top of him, so he wasn't just like crushing Peter Boyle's ribs in. But them snatching him off. I don't want to live. I don't want to. Like, that is so fucking funny.
I love it. His man. Wildest performance in this, especially in this moment, especially in the second half, dude. Like it's fantastic the first half, but like for me it was the second half, the more bombastic fucking like I'm losing my mind kind of nature of it. I love it, dude. He's so fantastic.
No, for sure, his madness is so palpable. It's like, and that's one of the great things about Gene Wilder is he's such a nice guy. Like, have you ever seen Hear No Evil or See No Evil, Hear No Evil? His movie with Richard Pryor.
No, I heard it's not that good. Is that true?
I fucking love it. I think it's fantastic. It's not as good as like Stir Crazy and like some of the other films they've done together, but I personally like it more. I think it's fucking hilarious. Gene Wilder's deaf, Richard Pryor's blind. It's super fucking funny. They accidentally get kind of like framed for murder. It's kind of goofy, but like it's kind of fucking hilarious at the same time. Like at one point they're handcuffed together. Richard Pryor ends up driving, so he's fucking blind driving, and Gene Wilder's trying to navigate him, and he's like right,
That's
left,
awesome.
and blah, blah. So Richard Pryor turns to look at him while he's talking to him, and he's like, keep your eyes on the road. He goes, fuck it, whatever makes you feel better. That's like
Awesome.
telling it to a fucking blind guy. That movie, it's fucking fantastic. I love it. There's a screenshot of it at the end. You got to see the movie to get the reference, but it's both of them with ice cream cones on top of their heads, like right in the middle of Central Park. And there's this like great, beautiful background. It was one of my background like profile pictures for a long time, and I've always wanted to get it printed and framed because it's so fucking funny. And both those guys are gone now. I'm like, fuck, that sucks, dude. But it's really good. It's personally one of my favorite Gene Wilder comedies. But this is where we get introduced to Kenneth Mars. And honestly, I can't remember, like, for the life of me, I can't remember Kenneth Mars' like character name, because I just always look at him as like Kenneth Mars, who plays the Inspector Kemp. I just, that name, Kenneth Mars, has always stuck out to me. The only thing I really know him from is Malcolm in the Middle. Did you ever watch that growing up?
Yeah. Who was he in Malcolm in the Middle?
So, in later seasons, Francis gets out of that military academy and he goes to like Canada or something. I can't remember. It's something like that. He lives with this older couple that own like a ranch or something. And I was like, oh, okay.
Otto. He played Otto.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. He was, I mean, it was a later edition, but he's still in there.
That's awesome, dude. I did not even like, that's awesome. I love it. Okay. So what is this running joke with his arm?
I guess he is based off of a character because, and this is something interesting too, when they say we've dealt with this 5 times before, that's actually accurate. There's Son of Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Return. There's like 5 movies. So I think from what I read, he's actually a play on a character from, I think, Bride or Son of Frankenstein. Like a war injured kind of like town sheriff, like in a way. But yeah, this whole gig with his arm being like he's kind of more machine than man. Like he's got the the eye patch on with the monocle over it.
Oh my god,
dude, him and just the way he controls his arm is fantastic. Like
dude, it is goofy as fuck, but I love every second of it.
Well,
I love it.
The noises, all the clicks and clacks and stuff of him lighting. He lights his hand on fire to light his own cigar. And just, they said his German accent, they told him to tone it down. And Kenneth Branagh was like, no way. So they're like, well, if we can't tone it down, we're going to add a joke in about it that no one can understand you. And he's like, good, that's funny. He's like, do it. So this whole scene is actually one of my favorites, one of my standouts from this, just because it's like, this guy that stands up, I fucking hate this guy too. He's like, there's a Frankenstein and they're all alike. I was like, this guy is so ridiculous. They can't help it. All those scientists say they're here to help us, but what they really want is to rule the world. I'm like, really? I was like, all scientists think that? I was like, that's hilarious, dude.
They think they're better than us.
Right, this whole scene has always cracked me up just from that guy because I'm like, sit down, just sit down,
sit down, you fuck.
But I love this introduction of Inspector Kemp just because he's a riot. It's an ugly thing. Once you get one started, like he is so fucking great in the way he pronounces stuff. My favorite part of this whole exchange, it might be another one of my top favorite parts of this movie, is when he's like, so before we go around killing people, he's like, we better make damn sure, and everybody jumps back. Like, dude, I laughed so fucking hard. He's like, we better make damn sure of our evidence, and he like cleans his monocle off. It's like, dude, that scene, I still like laugh to tears. It's so fucking funny, man. I like, just this going 0 to 60 so quick is fucking great.
Right, like the shocking, like, I get you. Like, you're just like, you're lulled into this like false sense of security. And it's like, bam.
But basically, this is the townspeople, the elders, asking Inspector Kent to help. What do you say? It's like, I believe what is in orders, the doctor and I to have a nice, quiet chat. Like, just him saying chat and sounding exactly like shit. So fucking fun.
Chat. Yeah.
But I tell you what, I think we're actually at about the halfway mark. What do you say to take a break?
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it.
Awesome, guys. We will be right back with the second half of Young Frankenstein. Don't go anywhere.
Well, look who made it this far into the episode. Just while we're taking a quick break here, we've got a few things that we just wanted to put out there for any newcomers, or if you're not part of our growing community, maybe this could benefit you too. Firstly, we just want to let the newbies know about our episodes and the way Midnight Double Feature currently is structured. As you know, right now you're listening to one of our feature presentations. When we started the podcast, we basically built the show around our feature presentations. These are movies that we choose to cover and basically go through everything in the movie that's worth talking about sequentially. These episodes are generally longer, and we're definitely looking at ways to spice up our feature presentations by hopefully getting guests on. We also have our upcoming attractions episode. Typically, these come out during the week and are much more shorter than our feature presentations. These are hosted by Matt Vella and basically consist of a conversation between Matt and I about any movie news that's worth talking about, quick reviews of movies that are out of the cinema, and other hijinks. Finally, we have our special features. These are usually one-off special episodes that are mostly experimental and don't really have any specific definition. They could be a sit-down with a cast or crew member, a conversation between the hosts, or just a straight-up different thing that might not even relate to film. Before I let you get back to the episode, I just wanted to thank our listeners and supporters. We definitely couldn't have done any of this without your guys' constant support. If, for some reason, you're not a part of our growing community, head to our socials. We've got 2 pages on Facebook, Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page and has our formal announcements, and we also have the After Party, which is where we post memes, news, and teasers of what's to come on Midnight Double Feature. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. You can also send us an email if you have any grievances or would like to let us know what we're doing wrong. That's midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, guys. Back to the show.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. Fresh from our break. We're going to jump right back into Young Frankenstein because we are freshly squeezed.
Freshly squeezed. Dude, I thought you were going to go right past it. I was just
nope, not this time. Not this fucking time. So yeah, we're like I said, we're jumping back into Young Frankenstein. We're at this scene where they're kind of, discussing the failure of, bringing the monster to life and stuff. you've got to not think of it. What? You haven't even touched your food. There, I touched it.
Like a petulant child, dude.
Oh, it's so fucking good. Like that like this whole scene is fantastic because you kind of need something. Dude, the sets for this it's like 3 sets. Like that's it. They have this whole castle. They have like a little bit of in the town, and then that's it. Like everything takes place at the castle, and it's like God, the like. Oh, and I mean, I hate to say it, we totally went past all this stuff with.
I just thought about it.
the equipment and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how we went right past it.
Well, yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so most, or actually, it might be all. The laboratory equipment is from the 1931 Boris Karloff Frankenstein film, the classic film. So, dude, that just knowing that was fucking awesome. It's badass. Like it feels so authentic, and that's why.
No, yeah, absolutely. This guy, I feel like such a jackass. I can't remember his name. They said that he basically didn't get the credit for the first time around, the first time they did the original Frankenstein, and that they rented this equipment from him. So, because they were like, he would have just let us use it for free, but we rented him because we paid him and we gave him a credit. And I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. But that guy was still living in California. Was like 70 something years old. I was like, holy shit. Like you're lucky that guy's still alive, because it was just sitting like in a storage garage somewhere. I'm like, dude, like you're lucky that shit's even still sitting there. This fucking scene is actually one of my favorites. This whole thing that Igor says. Well, no. This, like, when they're talking about, oh, you haven't even touched your food and blah blah blah. Like still on this scene, this shit right here. I got a track for you. You ready?
Hit me.
I'll never forget my old dad. When these things would happen to him, the things he'd say to me.
What did he say?
What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance.
Dude, especially he wants to give someone else a chance, and then he just looks away all bug-eyed and shoves that whole piece of potato in his mouth and just keeps eating.
Dude, I didn't. So we didn't like talk about that clip beforehand or anything like that. But I knew, like, as I was watching this, I was like, "Oh, Colin's gonna pull a clip from this. I know he is. Like, I know he is, man. Because like I laughed. Like that was so fucking hilarious, man. Like I was like, this setup for the joke is all here. It's fantastic. He's so good.
Yeah, Marty Feldman kills it. But yeah, we basically start hearing the monster come back to life. I'm not partial to sweets myself, but this is quite good. He's like, I didn't say anything. You just made a yummy sound. I'm like, I always laugh you just made a yummy sound. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's the only way you can describe that sound, like a yummy sound. But yeah, they go down there to see the creature is alive. This shit, it cracked me the fuck up as a kid, and it's still pretty funny, but it gets kind of slapsticky, as he's like got him by the neck and slinging him around. Like it's not as funny as it used to be, but it's still fucking funny, Like the thing that cracks me up is when he's like, "Hello there," he's like, "I'm gonna let you go now," and the monster's like, "Arr," and he out of the corner of his mouth, he's like, "Is the sedative ready?" Like he's just like real quiet about it. But they release the monster up. Igor frightens him with the match. He starts strangling him. I love it. Give him a sedative.
Oh my god, dude! The charades. Oh, I love it. I love the charades.
There's such a small thing if you miss it when he's like strangling him. He's like, dirty word. He said a dirty word. Like what cracks me up is he says, oh, I know, sedative. And fucking Gene Wilder looks up at the monster like, Jesus. And the monster goes, I know, right? like they swap these looks that are so great. Sedative.
I love it, dude. I love like when that comes back, like when it's Igor like playing the game.
Right. Cause I love how how calm he is at first. He's like, Igor. He's like, he calls him over. He's like, sit down, and he's like, no, up here. He's like, oh, thank you. He's like, that's not Hans Delbruck's brain, is it? And he's like, no. And he's like, whose brain is it? He goes, Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby normal. I was like, dude, that is so fucking abnormal. I never would have fucking thought that. Like, that's hilarious. And I love, he's like, that's not as bright as he goes, no, he goes, I thought so.
Yeah, he's just so casual about it. I love it.
Right. You mean to tell me that I brought an abnormal brain and a 6 foot, something, however many pound gorilla? It just starts choking the shit out of him. And yeah, this is where the sedative thing comes back. But yeah, this is also where Inspector Kemp comes to see the doctor. This whole scene's fucking great. Them playing darts. He's reassuring him that he's not.
Oh my God.
And I kind of love the attitude that he has. He's like, ghouls and monsters are so passé. This is the 20th century. He's like, yes, but this is Transylvania. And he fucking misses his dart catch. They said that what happened in the scene is they're throwing the darts and Mel Brooks just out of nowhere makes that cat screech sound. And they're like, dude, people were dying because he just improvised it like that and just threw it in there. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So fucking funny, dude. Like him literally throwing the goddamn dart like backwards, like just so fucking hilarious shit. He reassures him that nothing's going on, blah blah blah. The gag of them leaving all the fucking darts in the car, like God, it's so fucking funny, man. And this is where we go back to the laboratory. They release some Cloris Leachman here. God, she's so fucking good, man. Like,
she is awesome.
Especially he's like, no, don't do it. He's got a rotten brain. No, it's a good brain. But this is also where we see that the music is what kind of calms the monster down, which is really fucking cool.
The violin, yeah.
Yeah. And dude, one of the best fucking scenes of all time of this whole movie when this whole revelation of like Frau Blucher, of her, she's the one that left him all the stuff and wanted him to see.
Right. It was her master plan.
Right, exactly. And it's like, dude, this shit is so fucking funny. For one thing, like Cloris Leachman, like she's such a professional, like even when it comes to like these bloopers and stuff, like you said, she's kind of the one that like flew off on Gene Wilder and stuff. She's like, and we're all having fun. She's like, but the scene where we first meet Elizabeth, at the castle and Marty Feldman attacks her for a pellet. It took them like 8 or 10 different times to do that because they're like, Gene Wilder would not stop fucking laughing. But I fucking have to play this. I got one more clip for you, all right?
Yeah, hey man.
Then you and Victor were Yes! Say it! He was my boyfriend!
So awesome, dude.
Her fucking eyes are, her face, she's so fucking into this, dude. You can just tell she's having a fucking blast. But this machine sparks up, it ends up scaring the monster away. He's free, I tell you, free. Like that part always cracks me up. The way her voice is just like cackling. I'm like, she's fucking terrifying.
Dude, she could play the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh God, yeah. Did you get this next scene coming up with the little girl throwing the petals into the water? Do you know what this is referencing?
No.
It's actually the original one with Boris Karloff, and I do know that scene. He's throwing the petals and then he throws her into the water because he just doesn't can't get right. Like he doesn't understand.
Yeah, apparently the blind man is also a reference as well, right?
Right, yeah. There's a family that he befriends because they're blind and they can't judge him and shit.
Dude, this whole thing with the girl.
the worst parents in the world.
Yeah, the most negligent parents on the fucking planet who deserve to get child services called on them like 8 million times. Yeah. But dude, I was not expecting the shit on the seesaw, dude. I was like, I know when he sits down, something's gonna happen, and just the way it's like, kind of like he just looks up, and it's just like the way she flies into a bed.
Well, the whole thing cracks me up with these parents. They're like, as soon as that girl turns 14, they're selling her. They're just like, absolutely. Fuck it, but we traded her for like 12 chickens. No,
these magic
people.
Bean.
Yeah, they're so fucking ridiculous. Like, I didn't check upstairs. I thought you did. Like, oh my God. But like you mentioned with the blind man, who's played by Gene Hackman, apparently he was just Gene Wilder's tennis partner. They played a lot of tennis together.
I read
he
that,
goes, hey,
yeah.
he's like, whatever you do, I just want to come in and do a couple lines. And Gene Wilder's like, all right. Like I don't really think we have anything. And he's like, the only thing we have is this really small role. And he's like, I'll do it. I don't care. Like he was such a fan of their comedies. Some of this is okay. I don't laugh at a lot of this stuff anymore.
I agree.
Pouring the soup on the guy's nuts. Like you got to remember the time it was in, and it's still funny. Part of me still laughs at it. Especially, him him being like, oh, you're a mute, an incredibly big mute. He's like feeling his shoulders and stuff. But the part of the scene that really fucking cracks me up is when he goes through, he offers him the soup, the wine, all this other shit. Well, he breaks through the door and goes, "Where are you going?" I was going to make espresso. It was improvised by Gene Hackman, and they were because. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, Colin. No, keep going.
No, I was just going to say they had to. They had to, as soon as he said, I was going to make espresso, they have to fade to black right there because people just started dying laughing. They're like, it was improvised and so fucking funny.
Yeah, I lost my mind at that, man. That was fucking hilarious. But you also got to fucking remember, man, this is a Gene Hackman, fucking, like we said, nominated twice and won an Oscar already by this point. So it's just how weird would it have been to see him play such a bit part like this?
It'd be like randomly seeing Gary Oldman in a cameo for this. But what? That's kind of crazy.
Weird. Yeah.
So the monster is lured back. He's on the street after he leaves the blind man. We've got them, playing the fiddle and capturing with the net and bringing him back to the castle. This part, fucking, whatever you hear, whatever sounds come out of there, promise me you will not unlock this door. The second he gets in there, and it's actually kind of a scary shot. It's a bit of a Dutch angle, on the monster's face, he comes out. And I love that shot. I've always thought it's great. I love seeing stuff from almost the background rush into the foreground. I love that kind of stuff. But just the thing screams at him once. He runs his door and goes, let me out of here, get me the hell out of here. He's like, I'll break this goddamn door down and kick your goddamn rotten heads in. Mommy!
Dude, he quits immediately.
Yeah, dude, and Frau Blucher on the other side, 9! She's trying to get him not to open the door. But, he starts showing him the compassion. Hello there. He's like, yes, handsome, you. He's like, and you want to talk about power? You want to talk about raw Olympic strength? You are a god. I love this scene, especially the shit that he says, as they're winding this scene down. You're not evil, you're good. This is a good boy. It's absolutely great. Especially once they, this is probably one of my favorite line from the whole thing is because he's, I'm not going to say that this is an arc, to say that this movie even has a plot is loose. Plot is such a loose term in this movie.
Well, it's a parody, right? Parodies don't really generally have crazy convoluted plots.
Right, but I love the fact that they actually kind of give not an arc, but they, he's finally accepting, all the stuff that's been going on in his life. It's oh, that's fucking cool. I like that. And Gene Wilder, he just really sells this shit. I think this is probably one of his best, non-comedic moments in the movie. Actually, I tell you what, last one, promise. I'm going to hit you with one more clip.
All right, hit me.
And I want the world to know once and for all, and without any shame, that we love him. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you how to walk, how to speak, how to move, how to think. Together, you and I are going to make the greatest single contribution to science since the creation of fire.
Dr. Frankenstein, are you all right?
My name is Frankenstein.
God damn, dude. His fucking delivery. Holy shit.
You can hear it in the voice, dude. I love it.
Yeah, like the vein in his head, he's like almost to tears. He's like spitting and screaming. I was like, this is great. That's like what you were talking about earlier, that slow bubbling intensity underneath. It's like, that's so fucking funny. Where we cut to the scene of them doing their presentation, fuck all of these people. Like the shit cracks me up. He's like, I'm doing something that's never been tried before. And it cuts to this guy in the scene who just kind of like barely puts his hand up to his mouth. He's like, like, these people all like pee on each other. Like they do some weird shit. Like all these people seem like they're like cannibals or, they're part of like the White Glove Society from Fallout New Vegas. It's a deep pull.
They are literally the Ku Klux Klan.
Right. I was going to say these people purge like motherfuckers, dude. But this whole scene, I mean, when you talk about anything being infamous from this movie, it's this whole putting on the Ritz, which, we'll hear at the beginning of this episode. But it's so fucking funny. And I'll tell you something interesting about the scene. They had this, Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder started having this argument about it. And in Gene Wilder's own words, just this really soft-spoken, nice guy. He was like, I went from red to purple, like so fast. And I started screaming in front of all these people. He's like, afterwards, I was embarrassed. He was like, but I was screaming in front of all these people about, Mel wanted to cut the scene. And he's like, I just started flying into it about how this shows that the doctor's like a success and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And they said in the middle, Gene Wilder's like, in the middle of my just screaming, Mel Brooks just goes, all right, cool, it's in. He's like, what do you mean? That's it? He's like, yeah, it's in. He's like, why did you put me through all that if you're just going to put it in? He goes, because I knew if you fought for it that you really wanted to put it in there. And I was like, awesome. Holy shit, like that's hilarious.
Like a reverse psychology kind of thing. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And a lot of this stuff, I was actually watching something with the editors, like the walk this way joke and like stuff like this that Mel Brooks originally wanted to take out of this. When he was like, I'll tell you what, when we cut the rough cut together and we show it to a test audience, if it gets laughs, we'll keep it. And they said once the walk this way thing happened, I mean, it was like gut busting humor just from everybody. And the editors were like, he's like, Mel Brooks was like, if this scene isn't any good, we're going to cut it on Saturday. We're showing it on a Friday. And he's like, so the editors leave the theater and they see Mel Brooks like, hey, you want us to go in there and cut it? He goes, oh, fuck you. He's like, he's like, you know, it's funny. God damn it. But this is where the monster freaks out, putting on the Ritz.
Yeah.
Like,
this was, dude, this kind of reminded me of King Kong.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, absolutely. It made me think of Batman Forever when he's getting pelted. He's like, why is there always people that bring eggs and tomatoes to these things?
Well, I brought up the better one, and you had to fucking bring in the fucking Joel Schumacher fucking Batman Forever.
No, that is Batman Returns, and that is Tim Burton.
Didn't you say Batman Forever?
I thought I said Batman Returns.
No, you said Forever.
Okay, whatever. I tell you what, we go back on the recording and I'm right. You owe me a Coke.
Dude, I heard it and I was just like, All
right, sorry, we don't have any time for this. We got to move on. No.
Just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so funny. That's like some Office shit. That's something they totally do.
Oh, yeah.
Office.
Just give an awkward look to the camera and just like move on.
Yeah. So the monster freaks out, breaks loose, knocks the doctor back. He's captured by the townspeople. This is where Inga and Frederick hook up. I fucking love this. I love it for, the whole scene's funny, but then once they come down on the operating table, and of course Leachman is like, she's like, oh, your fiance Elizabeth will be here in a second. He's like, Elizabeth here tonight? She's like, yes. I suggest you put on a tie. like God.
I love the cigarette as well. Like, cause obviously like the cigarette thing is a big thing. Like later when we get Elizabeth and the monster.
Yeah, absolutely. But this whole, especially, it's cool now bringing in Madeline Kahn because we're an hour 25 in. She's in like the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of this movie. So God, they must have filmed her shit in like a week. Like she must have been done so fast. But this is another one of my favorite scenes from this when she pulls up and he's like, darling, well, let's call it a night. Like as soon as she fucking gets there. And this is like a standout performance from Marty Feldman right here. I think this is one of his like best scenes in this fucking movie. Where the way he's talking to Elizabeth, and he's like, "Do you love me?" She's like, "Oh, hi." He's like, "Say nothing, act casual," and like sticks himself to the side of the car. It's so fucking like he is on just a whole other level of like he's on this like hyper like. She's like, what? And he's just flying by her. Like, it's so fucking funny. This whole thing of, him attacking her fucking, like, the pelt that she's wearing, this fur. I can't go past when, she's like, what is it exactly that you do? And she's like, well, I helped the doctor with, certain experiments, and actually, we have discussions. In fact, we were having one right before you pulled out. And Gene Wilder's like, I fucking love that part, dude. It's one of my, it's just so
awkward.
Oh God. Oh God.
Help put these bags inside.
Yeah, you take the blonde, I'll take the one in the toy bin. This whole scene's great, especially once they get in, and he's like, what does he say? He's like, oh, well, if you need any help with the girls tonight, don't be afraid to get in there. And he just like shows him, and it's like, that's so fucking great.
Fucking Igor over here, the horn dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fitting though. It's so fucking perfect. So this guard, though, fuck this guard, because the little boys aren't supposed to play with fire, is they? I'm like, for one thing, this is Transylvania, and you got a guy from, like, fucking Oklahoma who's one of your guards. Like, this dude is so fucking American. I was like, this is Transylvania? I was like, what the fuck? But this guy, I love. There's something oddly satisfying about watching this guy getting strangled to death. Like, it's
totally.
It's such a fun. This is a guy who like kicks dogs, like this is a guy who like throws beer bottles at people as he's driving down the street. But the monster escapes. The townspeople gather. With Inspector Kemp. I love that one pull up on the guy. Kill the monster! Like, dude, I laugh my ass off every time. It's such an up close like shot on his face.
Oh yeah.
A riot is an ugly thing, but I think it's about damn time that we've had one. They all take off towards the castle. I love the scene between, he's trying to bang Elizabeth. I'm like, dude, your balls are both still drained from Inga. Like, give it maybe a couple of hours. But she's like, I love you too. Be safe. Don't let the bugs bite. Yeah. He's just he's kind of blowing her off. I love that shit. And yeah, this is where we see like right after this is where she gets abducted. And Madeline Kahn's voice, dude, she's a great singer. Like, as I was watching this, I was like, wow, like you just went up like 4 notches on the hot scale, like, because you could sing. I was like, holy shit. And she does. That's one thing is like Madeline Kahn has this like old school beauty, and not only is she insanely talented first and foremost, she's fucking hilarious, but like she's absolutely gorgeous and she can sing. I was like, holy shit. I love, Frankenstein takes her back, kidnaps her and wakes up and she's got the streaks in her hair. I was like, I love fucking it. Of course.
I also love like when he's the shots of like him in the forest, like holding her and like, looking around and shit. And then like we cut to the shots of like everyone like searching for her. Fucking awesome, dude. It looks so classic. And like you get that random guy that fucking bumps into the tree.
Yeah. Well, especially when she's on the balcony and you see the sun or the moon behind him and he kind of pulls the curtain back. It's like, there's something about Frankenstein in a tux that's actually kind of like, it's
badass.
Just it's kind of a jarring juxtaposition. You're like, wait, what? Like this guy made of pieces of other people in like a very nice suit. But this is where he whips out his 14-inch long dick and promptly fucks her to death, where she dies from internal bleeding.
What do you think that dick looks like? Is it like a hodgepodge of like other people's dicks like stitched together?
I bet you anything, it looks like a half-eaten Jolly Rancher that got dropped on a dirty floor. Like there's like hair in random places and like black spots and shit. And I was like, oh god, like. And this whole scene, what cracks me up about it is it's Madeline Kahn.
Totally.
7 always was my lucky number. And, he goes out to leave, and she's like, "Oh, you men, you're all like just a quick 6 or 7, and then you're off with the boys to brag." Well, you better keep your mouth shut, mister. Oh God, I think I love him.
dude, I love like as soon as like he whips it out, she's like, "Woof." Like she's like all frightened and shit, and then just out of nowhere, woof. And then like I love like the ongoing joke about like, you know, she's scared, and she starts smoking. She's like, oh, and then she like goes into the fucking operatic.
Yeah. Oh, sweet mystery of life, I found you. I'm like, oh, that's so fucking funny, dude. But the monster is lured away by their playing. He ends up climbing the castle wall. I actually do like the thing, where he's like, no, let him do it. And, they let him climb over the wall. I was like, that's kind of cool. I do like that. There's not like that's the closest to a serious moment you get in this whole fucking movie, it's such a parody. And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. They actually do have a moment to where it's like not quite, it's not just silly as fuck the whole time. Like Scary Movie is just like, dude, there's no kind of like, that thing barely has a fucking story. You can tell they go jokes first and then slap the movie together. But yeah, what they have this kind of, they have this, I don't know what you'd call this brain swapper, like fucking Dr. Farns or Professor Farnsworth from Futurama would have, like this like brain swapping machine. They're saying they need 15 minutes, not 1 second before, not 1 second after. We've got the villagers banging on the door. I love Kenneth Mars when they pick him up like the battering ram and start using it. Once he comes, dude, not only when he comes through the door, it's like his face is dead in the middle of the screen. The doors open up from the inside, and he just it's like with his arm stuck out. I fucking laugh my ass off at that every time. Like when you're younger, Igor and is the funnier one and stuff, and he's still hilarious. But like as I'm older, I forgot how fucking funny Inspector Kip is. I was like, dude, this guy is outstanding. For the little bit he's in this movie, he's that fucking memorable. Yeah, he's like, definitely.
I definitely wish there was more of him. Like it's a bit more. It's more than an extended cameo, a little bit. So I definitely wish there was a bit more to him. But he's fucking hilarious, dude.
Right. There's a lot of deleted scenes for this too. They had to cut out a lot of stuff. But they end up interrupting the transfer. They go to take him off. I love, put that man down. The monster gets up. The inspector came in, who are you to be ordering these people about? And he's like, I am the monster. He's like, oh, yeah, yes, I see that you are the monster. Like he turns into a puss like real quick. I love the scene. This man, loved me, and all I wanted to return to love, but since I couldn't express it through fear. That's straight out of the book. Which apparently I read that Mary Shelley was high on fucking opium when she wrote that book. Like what happened was, this is like a little side tangent. She and I think her husband and another couple, like I can't remember, but they got kind of like, it was storming really bad for several days, like these really bad thunderstorms, and they couldn't leave. So I think one of their friends who was a poet, Lord something, challenged them all to write a scary story. Lord Byron, thank you. Whoever could write this scary story and it'd be the scariest would win. And it's just kind of entertaining and passing the time. And she kind of wrote this after seeing the kind of like the show and tells of using electricity to move like dead tissue and stuff. So she was just inspired by that and she wrote it. She was just fucked up on opium the whole time. I'm like, hell yeah, way to go. That's like some Stephen King level shit. Like, dude was so coked out he doesn't remember writing Cujo. I'm like, oh, that's fucking badass.
That's definitely that I think you're on the money there, because when I remember studying this from English, like that definitely came up. Her husband's name was Percy Bysshe Shelley. He was there as well, I believe. So
Percy Bitch
Shelley, yeah, for sure.
So, this is, kind of wrapping it up here. The monster explains himself. Oh, well, of course, this is a completely different situation. And he gives him his hand and yanks his fucking hand off. That kind of like sound it makes when his hand comes out. Oh, shit. Everyone to the lumberyard. Like something about that just cracks me up. We see, Inga and Frankenstein, like now they're married. I love this whole thing because it's weird. It's an odd scene in a way, because she starts singing and he kind of starts having this like moment of like, I don't know what you would call it. And I was like, that's such an odd touch. I was like, but it's nice. It's nice that like you can see that the effect like that this experiment has like had on him. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is weird to put this in at the last second. I thought this was gonna like, I thought this was going to like go somewhere when I was younger. I was like, is he going to turn into Frankenstein now? Like, what's going to happen? I was like, but it's just a nice little touch because it's kind of scary. I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And he's
it's definitely unsettling. Yeah, it's definitely unsettling. And I think that's what it was going for. Like, kind of like, although the movie is a comedy, like, like you said, it still needs to have those kind of like horror elements. So I think kind of like ending it with this sort of like flourish where it's just like an unsettling, like that's awesome, dude. I love the way this movie ends.
Yeah, it's great, especially everybody getting laid but Igor.
Poor bastard.
I love Madeline Kahn coming out with the Bride of Frankenstein look. I have one for your shirts and your poo-poo undies. I'm like, poo-poo undies? Huh. I was like, that's interesting. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, some people, including myself, have the occasional skid marks, but goddamn, like, I don't have a bin for them like I have them so much. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like,
oh, dude. I was just late to the podcast because I was washing my sheets because I shat in them again.
I woke up in the middle of the night and thinking of Cloris Leachman standing over me and I shit all over the bed.
Ovaltine!
Yeah. Blooker! Shit all over the bed.
Oh, good God. But I love how he's just reading the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, oh, say you like Daddy's little party. He was just doing it for you. And we see what they've gotten in return for him swapping part of his intelligence. And it's kind of even that part's even scarier because it's zooming in on Gene Hackman's face. Or God damn it, Gene Wilder's dude. Mel Gibson and Mel Brooks and Gene Hackman and Gene Wilder. No, the part of him zooming in on his eyes and just that.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck? Like that's still very unsettling.
Sound scares me. Yeah.
And he winds up, fucking Inga to death on their wedding night because he splits her in half with his horseman dick.
With his weirdly, weird dick. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fuck it, man. That's Young Frankenstein. That's it.
Whew. Boom.
So I tell you what, I'll pull up some listener comments real quick. We've got some on Instagram. We've got some on Facebook. Do you have any that you want to read out?
I am just navigating myself to the after party to check out some comments. But yeah, if you want to go fire off the ones on Instagram for sure.
No, yeah, for sure. As you guys heard, we had kind of like a little battle between Birdcage and Young Frankenstein. I told Zohab, I was like, we got to have something funny. I got to laugh. I need something that's just laid back. We've been doing Prisoners and Whiplash and In the Mouth of Madness. And I was like, dude, it's been forever since we've done a comedy. And I love it so much. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. And so do a lot of people. We had a lot of people pop up on our Instagram voting for this. There's a whole podcast called The Wilder Ride, which I actually haven't listened to yet, but they have a whole podcast about Gene Wilder. I was like, holy shit, like that's actually really fucking cool. But so many people voted for this over favor of Birdcage, and I was actually super surprised. I was like, man, I really thought the Birdcage was going to win, and to be honest, I kind of wanted it to win because like I love it, but at the same time, like Young Frankenstein is like a classic, but the Birdcage is almost like criminally underrated. But I tell you what, you go ahead with your comments from the after party first.
Yeah. So, classic Patrick Harrington, dude. Love him. Of course, we have a comment from Patrick Harrington. So beautiful. He said, Bob. His Mrs. Barb and him got to see the musical here in Des Moines. It was hysterical. Yeah, so apparently this is a pretty big musical, right?
Yeah, I think it came out in like 2007 or something because it had Mel Brooks attached. Like he did the lyrics and music and stuff. Like he was very involved.
That's badass. I'm trying to find my way to that original post where we do the voting. Okay, here we go. So, Patrick voted Young Harrington. Yeah, we don't have to go through this. I'm just like, I posted the GIF of Thor in Avengers. I have no idea what's going on because I've not seen the Birdcage or Young Frankenstein. Okay, now I'm gonna fuck up this name. Landry Hammock. that right?
Oh, Landry Hammock.
Landry Hammock, sorry. Fuck. He said, dang, both so good. I used to watch The Birdcage on repeat, so I'm going to have to go with Birdcage. Sorry, Landry. Landry. What?
Yeah,
Fuck.
Her name is Landry.
Oh, I thought it was he. Oh,
I know. You said he, and I was like, ooh.
oh, shit. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
She'll never listen to this shit anyways.
Levi Clark, why not both? For sure.
Yeah, dude. I fucking love Levi. He's a cool dude. And that's going to happen. We'll cover Birdcage at some point.
Oh, eventually.
We got some on our Instagram as well. UK 67 talked about this is one of the top 3 funniest movies ever made, and of course Blazing Saddles was their number 1, Airplane, and then Young Frankenstein. So I'm like, yeah, that's a man of refined taste. And we just got so many votes on fucking because Birdcage came up like twice, and I was like, all right, cool. And then Young Frankenstein just came hauling for that ass, dude. It just came flying. I was like, wow, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because it's just it's one of the best comedies of all time. And I kind of just, I tell you what, I'll go ahead with my closing thoughts because, I think movies like this only come around once in a lifetime. And when somebody says, you ever see those memes where it's like, out of all the time that's ever existed, be happy that you exist in a time when like Rick and Morty is around or something. And, that's funny. But like, I genuinely am like, thank God I saw this movie because it's one of the funniest things ever made. It shaped my humor in a lot of ways, like being younger. Like this stuff, and like I said, any of the Edgar Wright stuff, this quick British kind of clever humor. And I really wish that this could be the return to form, coming back to like American comedy. And like the renaissance of horror that we're having right now, I really want to have this like renaissance of like comedy stuff. And there's a lot of comedy stuff coming out, but then, like you've got this Ghostbusters reboot that really didn't go anywhere. Then you've got like Holmes and Watson that didn't really go anywhere. And it's like a lot of these worn out kind of like our comedy actors, when some of the funniest stuff that's out there right now is stuff that's on television and shows that people just really like a lot of shows and people just kind of like giving the chance, stuff like Blackish and Fresh Off the Boat. I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan. I love Bob's Burgers. And I really wish that was the same case with film because I don't see a lot of like trailers for comedies. And I'm like, I want to go see that. Like this new movie coming up with these 3 kids who it's basically like a Seth Rogen movie, but they're all young kids and they find like BDSM stuff and they find like all this crazy shit. But it's just like a bunch of foul mouthed kids the whole time. And yeah, that's funny, but like, it's not like, it can't be funny just on its own merit, like this kind of stuff. Like this stuff is just silly, kind of funny, but it's not like even Airplane and Scary Movie seem like way over the top compared to this. Like this is so like it's got some absolutely absurd stuff, but they know when to dial it back. And that's the best part. They know when they're going too much and it's not being funny. They know when they need to be tasteful about stuff. Like I said earlier, they just really don't fucking make movies like they used to. And this is just such an example of that. Because, I mean, like I said, this is definitely in probably my top 10 favorite movies. If not my top 10 favorite movies, definitely my top 3 favorite comedies. I think this shit is just so fucking funny. It started my love for like the horror comedy genre, stuff like, have you ever seen Dale and Tucker versus Evil?
Oh my God, I fucking love that movie.
Dude.
You took it out of my mouth because I was about to bring that movie up when you said there aren't that many good comedies anymore. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's great and stuff like that. But like, how many people have seen Dale and Tucker versus Evil? I mean, it's a good movie, and I'm not saying it's as good as this. But I was like, man, even that's so fucking underrated. You have stuff like Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse that was kind of funny. Then you have like Warm Body and Dale and Tucker versus Evil. John dies at the end. John dies at the end is fucking weird. I've seen parts of that. That movie is fucking out there. But really, when it comes to like just the horror comedies, I don't think anything of recent has ever been better than Shaun of the Dead. That's the closest thing that kind of conquers just like, the subject matter. It's a horror comedy, but like it's a horror first with comedy kind of sprinkled through versus like something like this that's a comedy first with just a horror background. But I absolutely love this movie. I think that it makes me yearn for a different time in like cinema. It makes me want to, like, when American comedies were not just these like just the wave of stoner comedy that just took over, or the wave of improv comedy with like The Office and like shit like that, where you have these movies where you can tell they're highly improvising a lot of the stuff, and it just, man, it fucking sucks, and I don't like it. And it's one of the few things I'm actually like really down on in terms of like American cinema and stuff, is like just comedies of recently have sucked ass. Like The Hangovers were good, but then, you've got stuff like The Campaign and a lot of these terrible movies that just like, nobody's trying to make a Young Frankenstein. They know that, we're going to slap Seth Rogen and Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart, and The Rock in this movie, and we know it's going to make $600 million because, there are tent poles for stuff. And I'm like, man, nobody wants to make this kind of quick-witted humor. A lot of this stuff is just like, awkward, and it sucks, man. I can't stand a lot of American comedies because no one's really trying to make something like great anymore. I feel like I think something on like on the level of like even like Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber is like, I think, one of the last like really fucking fantastic comedies. It's like so self-aware, and you just don't see that kind of stuff anymore, and it's kind of disappointing.
Right, and one of those directors. Sorry to interrupt, Colin. Just while we're here with Dumb and Dumber.
No, go ahead.
One of those directors, the Farrellys, has moved on to pretty much drama now. Like, he directed Green Book, so. Like he's,
oh shit,
yeah, he's overdoing like some serious shit.
Damn, I did not know that. But, I really hope one day they can get back to making kind of comedies like this. But I don't see it happening in the future. But this will always have its place in time. It's one of the best movies of all time. It's one of the funniest movies of all time. Just such a simple premise, simple budget, and the warmth of this thing, that how much fun that they're having on set, just like, God, it makes me so happy to know that they were having that much fun on set the whole time. It's just fucking fantastic. But I mean, you go ahead. What do you think about this? Give me a rating on this as well.
Oh fuck! I was scared you were gonna ask me for a rating. Look before, let me touch on some stuff that you just said, because you went off on a rant, which was awesome. I love that, because no, dude, I sat here writing a little like some notes and shit. Like, I was like, let's get into this. Like, we probably should have led with this. I love that this is all at the end of the episode, but I think I did mention on the Superbad podcast that movie kind of ushered in this whole sort of like new wave of like comedy, right? Like this whole stoner comedy, this Judd Apatow sort of like comedy. And sure, that's not for everyone. Like, it definitely isn't for everyone. And it definitely is a massive departure from like this kind of like film, like Young Frankenstein, or like, films like Airplane or Naked Gun. It's definitely a different kind of comedy. And then you've got movies like you hit it as well. Like you said, that kind of like improvised sort of like Office style comedy. One of my favorite comedies in the last 10 years is What We Do in the Shadows, directed by Taika Waititi.
Yeah, that's horror comedy. I've been wanting to see that.
Yeah, it's really good, but it is very sort of like situational, like it's like The Office, dude. It's basically The Office but vampires. And I'm all in on that. Like, I love that Office style kind of like awkward humor stuff. I'm gonna say it's not. I don't think it's as good or as effective as Airplane's comedy, or even this Young Frankenstein's comedy. I'd like it to be well written. I'd like it to be sort of like very witty, and there are actually a couple people that do that in cinema these days. I'm forgetting the first names. Phil Lord and Chris Taylor. So those two directed 21, 22 Jump Street. They did the Lego Movie. Have you seen the Lego Movie, dude? I have not. Dude, I'm not even kidding. Fucking check it out. Like, it is so witty. That script is fucking hilarious, man. Like, definitely check it out. But I think 21 Jump Street, like, even though, you can slap it with that, like, that sticker. It's like, oh, it's a reboot, a remake. It is, I think it's fucking clever, man. Like, I think it is a cut, like, a little bit of cut above other general sort of like reboot sort of like comedies. Like, I definitely dig that script. I'm not going to say it's the best fucking comedy of all time. Just an example of like a couple of directors who are like definitely putting shit out there that's really, really awesome. And we covered one of my favorite comedies of all time, and granted, it is kind of like a diamond in the rough because like no one is doing movies like this. Tropic Thunder, dude. Like,
yeah.
Tropic Thunder is a movie that's mostly scripted. Like, you know, there's definitely some improv in there, but definitely. But see, the thing about Tropic Thunder is like it's mostly using the concept as comedy. Like, it's not necessarily using the script or the dialogue as comedy. It's mostly using the concept. So I don't know. I guess it's a bit different, right?
No, I mean a little bit, but still they stick to their premise like very well. They stick to the plot. They let the characters kind of do their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I mean, like, I think there's definitely like gems that are out there, but they're definitely not coming out in droves like they were back in the 80s or 70s. And look, it does suck. Like, I mean, like, it's just, I guess it's just the way of the world now, which is not, that's not a good thing. You know, I would like to see more things like this, but I guess it's just more about the talent, right? Like, I mean, we just said that fucking Mel Brooks is in his 90s, and you know the Abrahams and Zuckers, I mean, they're not doing this shit anymore. So I guess it's just kind of like this dead sort of like era of cinema that's just going to kind of like live there and become like cult classics, which they have. So,
right.
Yeah.
Like, I've Googled recent American comedies, and it's like just fucking stupid shit, dude. Like. Shit like Girls Trip, Baywatch, The House, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Fist Fight. I'm like, dude, all of these are terrible fucking like American like comedy movies. The Happy Time Murders, The Spy Who Dumped Me, Life of the Party, Blockers.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, all of these are fucking shit.
Yeah,
man.
I agree. They're not good. Like, they're not good. I mean, like, they're no fucking like School of Rock, Richard Linklater. Like, fucking
right, that's fucking funny.
Amazing comedy, dude. I had another one. Christ. Mean Girls.
No, I've never seen that, but I've heard it's good.
Dude, it's actually hilarious. Like, these are kind of like these don't really fall under that kind of like crass humor sort of like, you know, subgenre of comedy. They're kind of like a cut above. So yeah, man, I think there's definitely stuff out there, definitely less than what we're used to, but it's just the way of the world, I guess, right? Also another one that's really, really funny, and it's a really, really weirdly, like a weird kind of humor. Wet Hot American Summer.
I've never seen that.
Dude, watch it, and then watch the Netflix fucking series. It's you'll be like, what the fuck is this? It is honestly probably as close to the Zucker sort of like comedy or this kind of Mel Brooks comedy. Like, it is so fucking stupid that it's hilarious. So
right,
yeah.
Like the kind of stuff I will say, since I've been such a negative Nancy about like American comedies, like the stuff that did come out that's been great over the last like 10 years have been like Bridesmaids, 21 Jump Street, Easy 8, The Horrible Bosses. I'm like, dude, that is fucking Bosses. Great.
Fuck yeah,
that's
man.
Such a fucking great movie. Like Kick-Ass, Deadpool, like shit like that have been Paul. Like, I love Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Like, even though that's not Edgar Wright, it's still fucking great. Like, they're still fucking funny. But I'm sorry, you don't know. Finish your thoughts.
Yeah, no, sorry. And one more that I'm going to throw out there: fucking Game Night. Check out Game Night. Fucking awesome.
I wanted to see that, but I've never watched it.
Really, really good. But yeah, rounding it off my thoughts, dude. Really, really glad to finally be seeing this movie for the first time, man. Like, this was really hilarious. Very unique. Very. It wasn't what I was expecting, because like, Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs were a lot more sillier. Like, they're a bit more juvenile. Like, I was expecting this to be a little, have like those elements of like juvenile humor to it, like, which it does. Like, you know, you can't deny that it doesn't. But it definitely goes like a step above that. Like, it's a bit more. There's a lot more weight to the performances, especially Gene Wilder. Like, when he goes fucking ham and he goes insane, he goes insane. Like, he dedicates himself. He's awesome, dude. But the way the jokes are set up, like the payoffs are fantastic. Frank Boyle, I don't want to go past Frank Boyle. I feel like we glossed over him way too much throughout the episode. But yeah, he's awesome, man. Like, he doesn't get like obviously that much to do, but like, I do like his monster. Like, he's better than fucking Robert De Niro, right?
I like some of the stuff that De Niro did.
Yeah, me
like,
too. I'm being his shit.
No, he's like in a terrible movie. He's the best part of a terrible movie, and even he's not fantastic in it.
I agree. So yeah, man, very, very fantastic movie. Definitely recommend this one to watch to anybody. It's aged very well because like it's supposed to be a throwback to the 30s, so it kind of masks its age, which is very clever, and it does feel very timeless. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching this again for sure.
Hell yeah. Speaking of horror comedies, actually, Zombieland Double Tap release date has been pushed back 1 week. So that's cool. They're making a second one finally. It's been fucking 10 years. Like, damn. It's been like, I think it's been 10 years.
10 years, 2009. Yeah.
God, that's crazy, dude. But yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. I mean, I love this movie. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm so glad I have this. I've got the making of it here. I've got this book. I watched the documentary today, and I feel like I've learned so much about this movie and just about comedies in general. And it kind of helps even with like, I like writing comedy sketches. I've written a few before, and I have ideas for some. And, we've sketched some stuff out, me and some friends. I've always wanted to film some, and it's something I might actually get into because I love filming and I like writing and stuff, but like you can't really make a movie when you have no fucking budget, but like you can do sketches. You can get an iPhone out and, get a mic and boom, you're good to go. And it's okay if the quality's bad because it's comedy. Like that's what's great about it is like sometimes it makes the stuff even funnier, like the candles not being lit or like them being under the coffin. You're like, wait, what? Like it's kind of silly.
So I completely forgot to give my score on it, and I have been thinking about it, and dude, it is a 10. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can change about it. So like there is a reason that like the listeners heard pretty much no negatives throughout this episode, and I think it's just because we can't find any.
Right, yeah. The only negatives I can give is like some of the slapsticky stuff doesn't hold up, and that's it. That's nothing, dude. That's like maybe 1% off from 100, and I'm like, dude, it's one of the best comedies of all time. I think it's fucking hysterical. But yeah, I tell you what, you want to wrap it up? You want to get out of here?
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to check us out anywhere else besides here, you can find us on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We've also have the group attached to that called The After Party. That's 3 words, and everybody's invited. We're on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter at MDF Pod. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Please stop by and rate and review us on iTunes. That's really, really, really going to help us out. We've been seeing, an uptick in our downloads and, and an uptick in our reviews as well. So they go hand in hand, and we'd love to fucking do this full time. So the more we get reviewed, the possibility that can happen grows. So stop by, rate and review us on iTunes. Send us some email, midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. If you guys have any ideas, questions, concerns, complaints, anything, I'd love to hear requests from people all the time. Like I said, one of the episodes, Patrick Harrington sent us a list of some that we're definitely been looking over and considering, because any and all feedback would absolutely be great. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed covering it, and we will check you guys out later.